property or take property that doesn't belong to them, because everyone's been coerced to register the property as part of the state. So they claim the state of has an interest in that property because it's registered to the state of. Right. They try to work within the boundaries or completely ignore the boundaries of what proper process and procedure is. I even caught them many times trying to charge more than what they were allowed to by code. Their law, not our law, but the code is law for them. It's supposed to keep them in line. And so, this is just kind of where we're at, where even if you look at the code and follow the code, they're not following it. It will say they cannot charge more than, let's say, $10 a day for storage of that car. And they'll try to hit you with 30, 40, 50. So you call them out on it and say, hey, state code says you can't charge more than 10, and then they adjust the bill. So they're just doing whatever they want to do. They're in RICO. This is racketeering because you have multiple corporations getting together to do paper terrorism by definition, because they're attempting to try to force everyone into their political science corporate endeavor, right? Man and woman does not have to register their property and title it something other than what it is by original condition. We know that this is federally defined, the difference between an automobile and a motor vehicle. The average slave is never going to go read it. If they do go read it, they're always going to deny the existence of it, even though it's right there. So this is the purpose of the title when an automobile is sold, is that before you ever get into it and ride it off the lot, they take it to the back and they send it over to the DMV and they generate a registration and a new title for that automobile as a motor vehicle, which is defined as a commercial instrument. So it's called unlawful conveyance, among other things, right? It's essentially fraud. They're without giving full notice of what's going on, unlawfully converting property and people from one status, standing, condition, and state of interest and equity to another status, standing, condition, state of beingness and equity or lack thereof, right? So, and don't kid yourself, this whole thing is going that way. That's the point of digital currency. I believe, I can't prove it. Bitcoin, blockchain, a digitized reality, and a tokenization of everybody's beingness. They already did it. They already did it last time they took the gold and silver away. They brought in public safety code, statute, policy, and code, overlaid an AI reality of governance over the natural reality. And they've essentially, by convincing everyone to interact with this artificial intelligence we call governance, moved everyone away from their supernatural beingness. So now we're so far down the line that a natural man and woman is born into a reality, an artificial reality, where they just believe that corporations are their daddy and mommy, that policy and code is their law, that they don't have any right to property or to own their own home or their own land without paying tribute to use it in the form of tax. This is absolutely, I would say, absurd and unheard of if it wasn't the one theme that we've experienced in history from the beginning of time, right? It's the one thing from the beginning of time that we experience in history is from land to land, these groups get together, they're inhabited by a spiritual force that seeks to take us away from who and what we are naturally and insert us into an artificial reality. And I got news for you. They're not stopping at statute, policy, and code, state of, and the idea of corporate governance. They're going all the way with it, if you haven't noticed. So the next leg up of this is beyond slavery. We're going to the genocide portion, if you haven't noticed. And that's okay, because I'm not here fear-mongering. Fear doesn't do anyone any good anyway. Ultimately, if I am talking about what the reality seems to be, and it is that, well, then it's there to compel us to become more faithful, to have faith in our own conscience that God put there, to have faith that there's an order above and beyond what we see day to day, more and more in this world, and a faith that we will be delivered from that if we attempt to do what's true and what's right and stay in alignment. I don't know anything else at this point. Greetings. We're back at it. So I'm going to get right into it. I was contacted by someone last night. It was sort of synchronistic, so I got to kind of go with it. When I put out an intention to the universe and something comes back, usually that means that my employer's calling, right? we got some work to do. So I'm going to bring in Brian O'Shea. He's going to sit shotgun, maybe participate. I asked him to be here. I don't want him to feel pressured. No pressure, Mr. O'Shea. We're going to take this one moment at a time. Amanda is in the back. Okay, let me see this. Your name is Amanda. Can you hear me? Is that Drew or Amanda?
It's Amanda.
Okay. So I'm guessing I was speaking with you, Amanda, through text and email. Could you just give me quick background as far as, by the way, this is concerning. Okay, we're feeding back a little bit. If you're somewhere where you got background noise, try to limit that. And you guys need to be my eyes and ears as well, because I got a fan going here. If you're hearing anything out of the ordinary, please let me know so I can adjust it. Don't just let us do this broadcast of a lesser quality than normal. So I'm going to go ahead and put this name up, and we're going to get a little bit more information from Amanda. I don't know what this being is accused of, but Amanda tells me Andrew Hedges is being held at Montgomery County Jail for months now with no due process, no court date. So we're going to give them a call and see what's going on with that. Once I get some information and find out that he didn't kill a whole family, so which I suspect not, but we'll figure that out, right? I don't want to jump completely out the window right away. But if so, we have the number that we're going to call up and get some information on that and encourage them to do the right thing. If they're going to play legalism games and they're going to do statute, policy, and code, there is such a thing as speedy trial. I doubt that he wants to sit around there for another 6 months while they figure out how they're going to get their paperwork together to lie on somebody with nobody on the other side as a valid claimant. So, yeah. At some point, I may have to contact the FBI tip line as well, as I've said in the past, if necessary. I grew up public school system, when I wasn't cutting class and smoking reefer and graduating late. And when I did attend, few and far between, they told me, if you see something, say something. So I've learned, if you see something, say something. If there's corruption on a local and state level, we might want to have to activate the feds, because they make a living on coming and investigating and getting everybody right. So Amanda, could you go ahead? I'm going to unmute you again. Or you unmute yourself, because I muted you because there was a little bit of feedback there. It sounded like you might have been traveling or something. If that's the case, and there's no way to avoid it, then it is what it is. I'll work within those boundaries. So Amanda, just hit the unmute if you can. It's not letting me unmute you. Okay, she's gone. All right, so we'll see what's going on with her. It sounded like she's traveling. Maybe she'll get back to some kind of a location where we can interact a bit better. But Amanda, if you can hear me, like I said, I can work with it. It wasn't horrible. So don't go running off till you get somewhere, and if you can park, do it. If not, that's okay. All right, let's make a call here. In the meantime, okay, Julian's here. Paul, I emailed you optics on the dude she's talking about. Now Snafu somehow involved in everything. Snafu, please don't make this all about you, right? It's not about me. It's not about you at this point. It's about the due process idea. Legal awful, right? So, God help us. Yeah, Snafu, please don't start telling me this guy's a pedo pogo and all the rest of it. And, unless you have actual evidence or proof, because evidence is not proof. There's evidence that I'm XYZ to the third power, fill in the blank, because of a lot of things I've said on here. But, at the beginning and the end of the day and everywhere in between, that no one has anything I've done. Right. So I've said a lot of things. I'm pretty sure I've said a few times I'd have sex with another man. I've talked about blowing things up. probably different acts of violence and genocide. I'm sure if you listen to the broadcast long enough, when I'm, doing certain bits, and raps and just kind of going off and, doing what I do on the entertainment slash informational slash expressional part of the broadcast, anything and everything can be said. Now, whether or not I've done that or acted on that or intend to act on that is a different story. So please, Snafu Snaps, help me, help you, help me, help you. If you don't have any proof of anything and you're going to claim something, just save it for now. I'm going to get what I need from Amanda. Okay, Amanda, and Julian's here. Amanda, what's the bottom line here? Just try to be as concise and straightforward with me as possible. Tell me what you know or believe that you know, and don't give me any extras if you can. What's this man accused of at this point?
He's accused of it. He was okay. He is accused for the misdemeanor that he's in jail for right now. He is accused of recording. I have the complaint. Give me 1 second. I pulled it up. He is accused of. It says interference with interference with public duties. For he was asked for recording the traffic stop and refusing to stay away from the scene. I was on the scene with him, and I have videos proof of it, that he was not antagonizing. I mean, he was talking into the camera, but the police didn't hear him. Okay. He did
Okay,
ask.
so why? And you may not
away from out of the scene whenever they asked him to.
Okay, so you may not have an answer to this, but I'm going to ask the question anyway, just so that I can, vet this. Why would Snafu Snaps? Do you have any idea why Snafu Snaps would be telling me he's already emailed, as he calls, optics about this man Drew doing something on Facebook pages or whatever with police or
what he would do is he would constantly question on Facebook why they arrested certain people, because they would always, it was the constables, they were always arresting, like they'll pull you over and say that they pulled you over for your turn signal being out, or in my case, my bicycle rack being on my back of my car. Okay. They would ask to search. If you refuse to search, they get canine. They call a canine to search your car. If you allow them to search, or if they didn't have a canine on the scene, they would arrest you for whatever and put you in cuffs and put you in the car to give them incident to arrest, I guess. Able to search your vehicle, say they found something, or if they didn't find anything, they let you go and say, hey, you're off with a warning. We'll do it. We're just letting you go. If they did find something, that is what they say they arrested you for. However, they had already put you in cuffs prior to them searching their vehicle. And anyways, so he was just questioning that on Facebook, asking them, how'd you get it? Did you do it this way? You know what I mean? And he would call them out on it, is what he was doing. Did everybody get that? I have a feeling I got locked off, didn't I? Hello?
I can hear you. I don't know where.
Yeah, so I was having issues with my camera and equipment over here, so I just had to restart. So, okay, Snafu, once again, somehow the guy who's always saying everyone's an agent has information on this guy, apparently, Drew, and he's now once again, as he did with me at one point, taking up for the police, and he's saying that this guy that you're talking about, Drew, trolls the police Facebook pages and they had enough. So I heard most of what you said there. What does that mean to you? He trolls Facebook pages and they had enough. And then my next question is going to be to myself and everyone else. What does him even trolling on Facebook pages have to do with them taking him and holding him and not giving him due process. So what does that mean to Snafu? Could you give me some more? Because I don't feel like going to my email and pulling up pictures, and I'm kind of always wondering why you're always one step ahead of what's always going on here. And it's almost as if what you accuse everyone else of is what you are. That somehow, some way, someone got a hold of you and pays you or informs you to to interact and take the side regularly, not only with me but with other people of police and status and folks who are not granting due process. Like, even if he's trolling Facebook pages of cops, does that warrant? Because listen, there's been a couple times I've been on Facebook where the police thing comes across. I usually hold my tongue because really I'd rather not have an electronic record of that kind of behavior for me. But ultimately, there's probably been a few times, if I had to think back, where I've made some jokes about the pictures of the cops going around collecting radios during the summer and saying they got a big haul and taking pictures next to the radios out on New York City, because they're just fighting all the crime that's going on, by stopping people from listening to music. So, yeah, again, it's really is incredible. It's amazing to me. So, what does that mean to you, Amanda?
What is
That he's
what is
trolling
which part
Facebook
of it that
pages. The guy that you're with or you're saying they're holding without due process. The snafu creature is telling me he's trolling Facebook pages and they've had enough. What does that mean to you, if anything?
that means that they didn't like that he was calling them out on what they were doing wrong. To me,
Right.
he
Right.
didn't like that.
Okay,
And
so he's now telling me it's because truth, yo. That just doesn't cut it, man. Just doesn't cut it for me.
I mean,
okay. So, let's just back up here. I'll take that, snafu. You're claiming he's on Facebook pages trolling. That may be the case. I'm not even claiming he didn't do what he's accused of. I'm just saying that we need to have a generalized kind of broad standard here for due process and the legal and lawful idea. And I don't care if it's me, Brian O'Shea, Julian, whoever, whatever. I don't care if it's slave state, Aluma Tranny, people who at one point I don't really like so much, we'll say, or I don't like what they do, more importantly. Ultimately, at the end of the day, what's right is right. So I wouldn't want to see anybody be taken and held for, how long is it now, Amanda? 5-6 months on end with no
it's been
court
5
date?
months, and as of July 15th, it'll be 6 months, and that is actually the longest that they the maximum sentence for interference with public duties. However, he hasn't even been to court yet.
Right. So he's guilty till proven innocent. They're making claims about statute, policy, and code, and they're holding him for the maximum he could be sentenced to without even having trial. According to you, that's not right.
They have his supposed next court date, because they keep resetting it as penalty his felony, and they're not even together.
Okay. So I'm gonna give them a call here. If Julian or Brian or anybody else, the link is down there. If you wanna, he's also charged with set aside bond, which is a felony. I don't know how that works. What is set aside bond? Okay. So if you guys got anything, the link is down there. It's not clickable at times, it seems, because YouTube's garbage. If you want to type it in, we can do that, or you can do that, and come on up and present something. I guess while I'm making this call, if Snafu wants to come up and muddy the water here, as a zebra would, go ahead and defecate in the stream and stomp it all around. I guess I can fill time. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and call either way, because I'm not claiming this guy didn't do what they're saying he's doing. It's just that there's no information, it seems, that's accurate or legitimate on what was done. And that's not proper process and procedure. And I've seen that with folks close to me as well.
An emergency, hang up and dial
And if you can't hear this, let me know. Can you hear that?
Report a law enforcement incident or have an officer come to your location, dial 936-538-5900. You can also find answers and information to commonly asked questions by visiting www.mc.org. For all other divisions of the Sheriff's Office, please listen to the following menu options as they have recently changed. For the jail, press 1. For the Records Management Division.
All right, let's try the jail here for the jail.
You've reached the MCSO Central Jail Records Division. You may visit our website to see if an inmate is in our facility or to receive additional information at www.mctxsheriff.org. Again, that's www.mctxsheriff.org. Please listen to the following options. For visitation, press 1. For directions, press 2. For warrant information, press 3. For property information, press 4. For inmate and bonding information, press 5.
I think that's what you told me too.
Your call is very
115 was
important
the
to us. Please wait for the next available agent.
agent. We're providing service today. Everyone's doing service provision, huh? How nice. How sweet.
Your call is very important.
Brian
to us.
O'Shea or Julian, let me know if I'm having any audio problems because I turned my gain up. If I don't sound right or it doesn't sound right, you gotta be on me because I can't hear it back.
Your call is very important to us. Please wait for the next available agent.
Yeah, they say agent, but it's the sheriff's.
Montgomery County Jail, Officer Callis.
Officer Kaus, you said was your name?
Yes, sir.
Can you spell that for me, please, sir? Okay. So I got a question about someone who's being held there. And I don't know how it works with you guys legally, but I'm just going to inform you that you are on a live broadcast because we're bringing awareness to this issue. So I got an Andrew Hedges, I'm told, is being held there. We're coming up on 6 months. He hasn't got a court date. Yeah.
His first name?
Andrew.
Okay.
So
All right.
I guess you're pulling that up on your end just to verify.
Anything regarding his court date, this is just the jail where we house the inmates. I don't have any control or any information regarding his court date. I can give you the court's information if you'd like.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if you can transfer me, or if you have a separate number where we can get into contact with someone who would know more or be able to make a decision here. I mean, obviously, I shouldn't have to do that, but as you would know, right? That's not correct behavior, as far as I understand, to hold somebody for half a year without a trial or without any kind of court date, guilty till proven innocent.
I don't know anything about a court date, setting it, anything like that.
Well, are you aware that goes on at the jail? I mean, you are at the jail regularly, right? So you must see the everyday operations of what goes on. I mean, you're claiming you have no knowledge of that jail there holding people for months on end without court dates?
All right, sir, would you like the phone number?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. I mean, it seems like you don't want to talk about the truth or testify to what you know. And I could understand that, when you're not doing what's true and correct and proper, you tend to want to limit your liability and stay away from the facts. Yeah, go ahead and give me that number.
All right. So which one do you want, the misdemeanor or the felony?
Go ahead and give me both of them.
All right. So the felony is 936-539-5300. 855. And the misdemeanor is 936 539 7885.
7885. Okay, thank you, Mr. Clausen. We'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And of course, I said Clausen there as kind of a joke. Mr. Clausen, the Israeli lobbyist, was way more forthcoming with his information understanding. See, it's very interesting when you talk to people. As I said, they know what goes on. They say they don't know about specifics, but they know generalities. But they don't want to talk about that because in their core, in their beingness, they know that they're a part of something that's incorrect and not proper, and not something they would want done to them. But they're on the other side of it. So since they're okay and they don't believe it's ever going to be done to them, they have no problem doing it or carrying it out. And just don't ask about it, because don't ask, don't tell, right? That's our policy with these things. So, is this live? Yes, this is live as it's going to get. So have you called these numbers yet, Amanda? The numbers that I just put in the chat box?
Yes. Yes, I've called them. I actually have a login in order to log into the district clerk, so it sees everything that's been listed on there. And the county clerk, though, you can go to, and it allows you to look at it because it's a misdemeanor.
Right, but you were saying there's also some kind of felony. So which one did you call where you were able to get a hold of somebody and at least inform them of what's going on?
That part, I wasn't able to get anybody to really. They kept switching me back to the DA's office and telling me that the DA had to take care of it. And then finally, he got a, what is it? Court appointed lawyer. The beginning of May, finally. Because he had one prior to that that he didn't ask for, and he got rid of them. Well, he took this one, and she's been trying to get the DA to give her the discovery, and they haven't given it to him yet.
Okay, so, and when I was laughing before, it's not because it's funny, but I tend to laugh when things are completely ridiculous and
I
just absurd.
understand. That's okay. I'm watching you to make sure I don't speak over top of you. Sorry if there's a delay, though.
Yeah, no, you're good to go. I mean, at just one point there when I kind of spoke the truth out in front of him that we all know to be the case, and he just glazed right over it, and his tone kind of reveals that what I'm saying is true, and they all know it. I just can't help but laugh, because it's like, I'm just going to speak direct and straightforward and call you out, and you know what it is. But you make a whole life out of not truly living or feeling or understanding. So it just becomes so ridiculous and absurd after a certain point of interacting with these folks. So, okay, what I want is, whether it's Brian, Julian, whoever is willing, I'm not telling anybody to do anything. It's whoever has like a feeling of being willing to want to be a part of the situation. Folks in chat, whatever the case may be, right? I'm not telling anyone to do anything. I'm not advocating anyone do anything. If you're wanting to or willing to, please start making calls around the Montgomery area. Maybe my assistant Timmy will be up to it. He likes to email and call, and see if we can find a number. Right, this is how we diversify tasks. I'm delegating and diversifying. I'm not delegating, but we're diversifying tasks here. So if we can start to call around and get some information, or at least get a pass through, come upon some kind of number here where we can get a hold of somebody, and make a claim here, at least audibly, or put these folks on notice. I would appreciate that. It looks like a few folks down there. Okay, Snafu Snaps is now flickering. I'm going to urinate. Snafu Snaps, take a breath when you come in. Breathe. Be concise. Be succinct. Be terse. Don't drone on and on. Allow me to cut in when necessary, and try to keep your composure if possible. I'm going to urinate, but go ahead and give me your whatever you have here.
Well, I'm not trying to muddy the water. I'm actually looking out for Mr. Data. and I pulled up.
I accept that.
I pulled up the email I sent you was his arrest date and the optics. You could even look at comments and stuff, you know, from what people are saying. Now, here's where my question is to the young Amanda, because I mean, I'm for it. If he's stuck in there and they're fucking holding him and they're playing bullshit, okay. But I'm kind of thinking there's more to this too, because with the felony set aside, you know, have you talked to his public pretender? And what is the public pretender? Because we could call the public pretender right now, I would assume, and get more information as far as what are the public pretenders telling you, Amanda?
She's told me, like, I finally got her to answer me last week, like the week before, I'm sorry, the week before. And she said that she requested, it's been a month since she got assigned to him. She requested the discovery from the prosecutor. And she said that the prosecutor's dragging their feet, that they haven't given it to her yet or answered her. And that the court is the one that's resetting his case on and it keeps saying pending his felony. It's
Do you
like
want
they're
to tell
trying
us
to put the two of them together.
That's what I'm saying. It looks like they're adding them together, and he's going to be on hold for the other thing, so that they're probably like so they could run it concurrent. In my opinion, you know, I've been through the system how this works. So my question is, maybe you should let Dada call the public pretender.
He can't.
What do you mean he can't? If it's a public pretender, even if they're not there, their fucking supervisor there, someone in the office is there. Like, you're kind of like being like really like, oh, I called them once, and you know how many fucking times I called in one day to get shit handled. Sometimes you got to get on these motherfuckers if you want to get answers or get shit going. And that's I'm trying to be nice here, Dada. My concern wasn't muddying the water, but just kind of watching out for you in this situation. If you look at the mugshot or look at the guy, and I don't know, I'm not going to read a book by the cover, but there might be. Are you this guy's girlfriend, Amanda?
Yes.
Okay, so I get there is a biasness here in certain things. I don't know. I think the public pretender's office would be the first place to start to see. Well, why is he sitting in there, Dada?
That's the thing. She's answering my
Would
calls.
would you let Paul call the public pretender? I mean, is that something you'd let him do?
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to contact the supposed representation at this time, the public defender?
Yes.
Okay, so do we have a number for that?
Yes, I can give you her number.
Okay, we can call and ask. Ultimately,
yeah, I really ain't trying to muddy waters, Paul, because I get what you're doing, and yeah, if it's real. And
again, you know, you have folks who've been here from the beginning. They don't like you. I don't always like what you do. And there's a lot of things that I don't like what people do. Hell, I don't like what I do a lot of times. So, you know, when folks like this say, Paul keeps scum around him, it's my attempt to not be completely hypocritical, because I don't like aspects of me at times and what I do. I'm supposed to like everyone else in this creation and what they do all the time. And when I don't like it, then I'm supposed to what? Not interact with them or not have them, let them have their voice be heard if they have something to offer. So, you know, you can say whatever you want, spin it however you want. Here's a news flash. I do what the fuck I do because it makes sense to me. And it's a part of my journey and my walk. You and the other chatters and other folks in my life, not in my life, are not going to tell me what to do, who to have around, how to do my broadcast, because I don't want to live like you, most likely, and be like you and get your results. So if you in the chat have something to say, you can come on up and you can address me and whoever else directly. And you may not be completely wrong, but this idea that I'm going to be indirectly or directly manipulated to do something or not do something is just absurd at this point. So
yeah,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Snafu's going to do what Snafu does. That's his judgment with him and God at the end of the day, just like me and anybody else. I don't always have to like what he does or agree with it. And he's even attempted to do or say things toward me that could potentially cause loss, injury, and harm. I'm not going to walk around giving it that much power. I'm not going to be afraid of it. Ultimately, I'm still here doing what I'm doing. And he's on a manic upswing lately, as he's known to do, right? He'll go from his manic upswing at some point. I'll say the wrong thing, and then he'll go to his depressive, sort of angry, projecting onto me and exposing me and calling me every name in the book. It's old at this
What's
point.
funny is I'm actually bringing heat to the table, which I always do anyways, whether they like it or not. And I'm actually like being serious here. And yes,
Dude,
for all you
I
in
do
chat,
a
yes,
broadcast at times that has an entertainment component or just a freak show component, if you want to call it that, entertaining or not. And we've known that. So,
yeah.
like, guess what? When you do what I do, when you interact with the public, you're going to get all kinds, all shapes and sizes. So from the beginning of time doing this broadcast with you, I've always contended, I don't care what you do and what you say, as long as it's concise and contained, and as long as I can cut in and get the airwaves when I want them and choose to express. That's it. You could say that I beat up the cops like you did, that I look obese on body camera footage, that you're going to release it all and expose me. Whatever, man. I either tolerate it, I let the people hear it generates interest, or I just fucking ignore it and move on. It's the fighting for the airwaves. It's the just saying nothingness. It's the making complete false claims and then screaming and yelling and not stopping that I can't handle, and I won't handle it. Right? So ultimately, you're a character at this point. The whole metaverse sees you as a character. Many of them see me as a character, right? But whether they see you as credible or not, whatever. That remains to be seen. It's constantly in flux.
I think if they use their own
Myself.
discernment, I think for those who use their discernment know where I stand. Again, I don't think, no offense to Julian or Brian O'Shea or anyone in chat, unless Snafu Snaps came up here, he wouldn't have gave Amanda the idea of let Daddy talk to the public pretenders, because public pretenders don't do shit anyways, as we know. But Daddy probably could talk to him and get a little more intel information.
You're really going overboard with this daddy thing lately, aren't you?
Yeah. What's up? And you're looking very well today, Daddy. Just saying.
Thank you.
You are.
Thank you.
But no, all you guys can talk shit. But no, I think, Amanda, it sounds like you haven't put pressure on, and he already has a public pretender, which we know they don't do shit. Maybe you should let Paul call them.
Yeah. Do you have that number, Amanda?
I do have that number, and you're probably right. I haven't put as much pressure as I should because I've been working. Was working clear up until last Monday when I wrecked my car. So I've been able to do a lot more this week than I had.
Was your boyfriend working when he got arrested, or were you taking care of him? Here, honest question.
He was working.
Because I'm looking at his mugshot right now, and I'm reading a lot of people, the whole trolling the Facebook page. It's a little more than that, and you know that, Amanda. He was kind of becoming a target by putting himself as a target.
Right, but this is an issue, right? And I'm not going to totally deny that, if you poke the bull, sometime you get the horns.
Right,
but this idea that it's righteous or it's justified or it's correct in any way, legally or lawfully, to pick someone up and hold them for months and not give them a trial is absurd. And I don't want to live on any land where that goes on, and I don't want it done to me, because there's a whole... Please stop talking over me. You can talk when I'm done talking. It's I talk, you talk. I talk, you talk. As much as we can get that done, please work with me. So the point is, I've said and done many things that to many people, they're not even cops, and they have come online to hundreds of thousands of people and say Paul Unslaved should be put in prison or be killed. Hell, I've had people here who are felons who say they want to do meth and have guns and all the rest of it say, why is he free? So based on that metric, I'd already be gone and held and not released because someone didn't like what I was saying and doing. And that's not the fucking land that we live on. And that's not what this system is supposed to be.
No, I understand it. What I'm saying, though, is because I know how the system is. You do too. The guy's been in there. I'm wondering, because he has that set aside felony, and he probably, for all you know, someone walked in there, he signed a piece of paper that allowed the DA's office to put both the cases together. So he has to sit in there until it gets, processed so they could run them together. Who knows? That's what I'm saying. No one's talked to, but
yeah, well, guess what?
Part of me wonders if he kind of didn't know that's what would happen by
That's
agreeing
not how
with
the
that.
law works. That's not how proper due process works. We don't pick people up and take their body and hold them imprisoned till they're proven innocent or guilty. That's absurd. That's
No,
that's
but
the
he might have signed. He
antithesis
might
of
have
what
signed
this land is
something.
That's the antithesis of what this is supposed to be. If you pick somebody up, you got a limited time, like 48 hours or so with a fucking murder. That's why the show's called First 48. If you're not going to make the charges, if you're not going to bring forth the charges and the body of evidence, you got to let him go.
Yeah, but he does obviously has charges, including a felony
Okay,
charge.
he has charges, but so we should sit in county jail for up to what, a year, 2 years?
Well,
How
no.
long before we go to trial, before we have court, before we get released on our own recognizance or whatever you want to call it?
That's what I'm saying. He didn't. Did he ever have a bond hearing ever, Amanda? One time for the civil or for the non-felony one, or the felony one?
Hold on, we have a genius in chat. Says this guy's not a judge; he's an ass clown. Well, aren't you perceptive that I may not be an official administrative court magistrate, right?
I
But who's
trust you
the
over
ass clown when snafu, please? Who's the ass clown when you think that an official judge means someone with a black dress and a couple years of institutionalization, right? So in a twist of fate, there, unironically or ironically, I'm being sarcastic. I actually am a judge, and so is every man or woman by default. Now, is their judgment always good? That's a different conversation. But see, in a slave's world like you, no one is fit to have judgment or discernment other than the knighted ones who are part of the institutions. And that's why you're a fucking dumb slave. Excuse me. I'm supposed to be a more loving Paul Unslaved nowadays. I'm not supposed to curse people out and insult them to that degree. The truth is insulting enough. I don't have to add any extras onto it.
All I'm saying is she's putting more info in the backstage. If you go read it, Paul, it sounds to me he signed paperwork that he might not have known. Like, it sounds to me like it's doing a do through process. It's just because it sounds to me that there's multiple cases. I don't know. You'd have to call the.
Okay, so is he who's okay? So can you take a back seat now? I kind of got what I needed from you. You gave me the pertinent information. Can we shift gears here and let me interact with her and let's move forward with this wherever we're going to take it? So, Amanda, you're saying in the back he's calling. Does that mean the guy who's being held, Drew, is calling you right now, or who is he and who are they calling?
That was earlier. He was trying to call. That was earlier. He was trying to call me. Hold on. I don't know if you can. I'm sorry. I didn't know if I was texting or if I was talking.
Okay, so my phone's just been sitting here doing this for the last however many minutes, and I didn't even touch it, and it's charged. So, I guess let me wait for this to load up or whatever it is. Maybe that's the digital experience, as Snafu will always say. Tech all just starts going crazy and starts doing weird maneuvers and things. Because I didn't press anything, I didn't do anything. My phone's been on and sitting here. You just heard me call from it, and now it's doing a bunch of updates and sitting on this screen and whatever else. So who knows? Optics are high. There it is. Okay. So there we go. We're updated. I don't know how we're updating in the middle of it. It just usually doesn't happen, but I'm not going to make more out of it than.
Yeah, see, I'm using my phone to be able to talk to y'all while watching it on the computer.
That's the problem. You should probably just focus on talking to him and doing a show versus watching you be part of the show and watch it later.
Right. So do you have the public supposed offender number here?
Yeah, hold on one moment. I have to get on my phone to get it. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
I have it.
Brian O'Shea, your thoughts in the meantime?
Okay. Her phone number is 936.
This is why I tell you should pay. Never
Snafu,
mind.
please. You're still talking, and it's in the middle of her giving the number. I just don't get it. You know, this is why people in the chat go, "I must be even more insane than you to have you around."
Well, actually, I was gonna just go ahead. Brian
Thank
didn't
you.
talk when you asked him, but yeah.
I know. He's short of words at this time. Okay, go ahead with the number.
Okay. He's trying to call again. Is 09580.
I didn't get that.
Okay, let me type it in the chat for you.
Go ahead. You want to answer the call and hear from him and see what he has to report?
Put him on three-way. Put him on three-way.
Snafu, you're killing me. I don't need you to produce. It's like two left feet up here. You know?
Well, I'm just saying you could talk to him if he called.
I get that. I don't need you to tell her what I'm going to tell her because I'm able to think just like you, believe it or not. Let me change that right there. But yeah, I'm able to somehow recognize some of the things that you are as well. Like maybe we should be able to hear the call. Believe it or not, you know, you're not with Jack Talcott here. You don't have to produce.
I'm on my phone.
Okay, I'm going to throw the link down there because I want to hear from Jim Bob. He's desperate for my attention.
Okay.
Okay, so you got the number back there? Yeah, okay. All right, let's call this and see what happens here. If he keeps calling, then go ahead and take the call and see what he has to report. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and Snafu, you want to make yourself useful? Go ahead and retype that number from the back in the chat in case anyone else wants to call and ask some questions about this case. The 936-900-9580.
I
He
got
talks
you.
over me as I'm reading it out. The guy's a master with timing. No one likes Snafu when it comes to timing. All right, 936-900-9580. Do we have a name on this person?
Hi, you've reached the office of Robbie Barker. I am unable to come to the phone, but if you leave your name and number and a brief message, I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hey, Robbie, I'm just going to inform you we're on a live broadcast here. My name is Paul Unslaved. I'm just giving you a call to check on Andrew Hedges. He's apparently been held for months now without court or trial. So please contact Amanda immediately and let her know what's going to be going on with that moving forward. And I, myself, and others are going to be calling you moving forward here to make contact. So thank you, ma'am. So what a surprise. Like most attorneys, they do a message screening. They don't ever answer the call directly. And they're going to decide if or when they're going to call back. So I'm guessing that she has your number, Amanda. I'm not going to, I guess I could give out my secondary number over the air here. I don't want to give out the primary one just because people will play games and engage in all types of mischief, I suspect.
Hey, Paul, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Because I got a woman on the phone from the felony number. I mean, she's
Okay,
So
so did you ask her what the situation is with Andrew Hedges?
she's live with us right now. She could hear you. You could hear her.
Okay, ma'am, what's your name?
My name is Emily.
Okay, Emily. So we're trying to check up if Brian didn't tell you on Andrew Hedges. You're on a live broadcast right now, probably a couple thousand people listening. I just want to inform you of that. I don't think that I lawfully have to, but I am going to anyway, just out of courtesy. Um, can we get some information on Mr. Hedges or Andrew Hedges, rather? Find out what's going on here. He's being held for months without court, without a court date, which, as I would presume, or as I understand, is incorrect. It's improper process and procedure. No.
Well, I was just telling him that that y'all can go online and look at it publicly on our website, and y'all would have access to all of that. And I was just explaining to him how y'all would get there and how y'all would see his hearings and all of that, and what they have in the computer publicly.
Yeah, because she's telling me about these hearings on 9/4, 9/12, and 9/15 for felony.
Okay, 9/12 and 9/15. So, and he's been held for how long so far? Waiting for. So we have court dates 3 months out now from today's date.
Well, he's had another one before that. It was
Okay,
like
he has.
4
So
something.
4/17/25.
Yes, 4/17/25.
okay, so and what are we showing there? We're showing arraignments. What are we showing as far as what's going on here? And I'm kind of confused as to how on America we can have people taken into custody and held guilty till proven innocent. It just seems kind of odd to me. I mean, did he kill a whole family I wasn't aware of? Is there any loss, injury, or harm that's been charged here, or what are we even talking about as far as actual claims?
Well, on our side, it doesn't say what has happened in court. It just told us the hearings and what. That's literally it. Just says his hearing dates and what he was convicted of. That is it. It doesn't tell us what the hearings were about. It doesn't tell us. So that would be something that y'all would have to go to.
Well, you did say there was a what was it? Felony manufacture and delivery of a controlled substance. That's what the felony's about.
That was one of the charges. Yes. Don't know if it's. I'm assuming it's a felony because it is in our system and that's what we deal with. But it doesn't flat out say if it was a felony.
Okay, so do we have the information? Because like you said, this is all public record, and if you're looking at it there, then I'm pretty much inquiring to ask you what that record is showing. So can I have some more information on what that substance supposedly is?
It doesn't say.
Yeah, and so like Amanda's saying, she's talking about the felony, not the misdemeanor. The felony has court for it. So.
Okay. So I guess we're going to have to do more research on this end. This is why I didn't want to make any claims one way or the other. I'm not saying he did or didn't do anything. I'm trying to get some information and find out what's going on here with the due process. So I think we're good to go for now, Emily. Thank you. I'm going to check back with my folks over here and get some more information sort of corroborated or collected. Thank you, ma'am.
Of course.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so Amanda, do we have any idea? I'm not asking you to tell me what you believe happened or didn't happen, or even what you know happened. I'm asking you, do you know what they're charging him with?
Yes.
As far as a manufacture and delivery, what are we talking here?
That was done last year. He was he was possession. It was not a manufacturer to intent to deliver. They charged him with manufacturer intent to deliver. He was in possession, and he was pulled over on his bicycle and searched. He went to jail for that last year, that in 2024, January 2024. He went to jail for that. He was bonded out in March of 2024, and he has been clean and sober ever since. He has and he was bonded out. He did not violate his bond. He was calling the police out on what they were doing, the constables out on what they were doing to other people on Facebook, like the guy said, okay, and trying to bring awareness to the fact that they were doing it. They were doing searches, and when they're not supposed to do searches, they're doing, you know what I mean? He mostly started a lot more when I got pulled over on my bicycle for my bicycle wreck. He was out from March 2024 until January of 2025 because of they arrested him for recording that search of the vehicle that I chatted about on your thing, that I was telling you. We were driving past, they were searching somebody's vehicle, and we pulled over to check it out. He was wanted to record the search. That's all he was doing. And they kept telling him to step back, and he would step back. They are now charged him on a separate one for the interference, which is the misdemeanor court. It's interference with public duties for recording the traffic stop is what it says, and it says refusing to stay away from the scene. I have the video to prove that he didn't refuse to stay away from the scene, basically. Okay, I'm sorry if I was talking over you.
No, that's fine. So, okay, so you're saying that at one point he was charged with possession of drugs, he was bonded out, and then he was re-picked up, and apparently his bond was revoked, and he's being held in custody for recording the police?
Yes, but his bond wasn't revoked. It was just set aside.
Okay. Yeah,
and that's
we're
what
gonna
he's
have
held
to.
for right now.
Okay, I don't want to go too much into this because it's an open case. I don't want to ask any questions to, that might lead to, establishing of what could be considered guilt or anything else. Pretty much where I stand with most of these charges is you got to put some kind of correspondence on record, that you're willing to compensate any man or woman who comes forth with a valid verified claim. If not, you require your property be restored to its original condition and location, and that would include one's body, right? So I really don't know anything else beyond that. That's what I've had results with over and over again in my experience. And again, I don't take bonds. I don't pay these folks. I don't sign anything. I don't do any of that, So we're kind of 2 or 3 layers deep into this. I don't have all the information. I'm getting it secondhand from you. No offense to you, but I in any situation, like there's usually more to the story, and you may not know it, right? I'm not saying you're withholding anything. It's there may be more to this story, if nothing else, on the other side, so to speak. And you may not have access to it or know what's going on, and it may just be complete corruption. I don't really know,
I agree with you on that. I don't know, and I also know that I tend to, because of my trying to follow along with my hearing and everything, I tend to jump from section to section too.
Yeah, and I mean, it does off the bat sound like retaliation, but I don't have all the facts, and I don't want to jump out the window and start demonizing beyond the idea that ultimately, and this goes on all day, every day, that this, as far as I'm concerned, is not proper process and procedure. If you don't have any man or woman on the other side claiming loss, injury, or harm, or even a debt that's owed, which we don't have debtor's prison, but I'll even accept that. Who's the man or woman who says this guy owes a debt he hasn't paid? If there's no valid verified claim of loss, injury, or harm, or a debt owed, we don't actually have a wrongdoing or a crime. And if those charging instruments are illegitimate because they have a commercial entity as the claimant or complainant, then we're dealing with some level of fraud here, and this is why I don't deal with the devil. I don't make deals with the devil. The devil is there to test and challenge me so that I can serve God and testify to the truth of God and stand on my conviction. I don't need to make bond or make deals or pay in order to get my freedom. If my freedom is to be restored, then that's God willing. If it's not to be restored, God willing, then I'm not going to use God's free will to make a bond with the supposed devil that I'm going to come back and do whatever they say, and or that I'm going to be subject to revocation, because it's a lot easier to get into an agreement and deal with them than it is to get out, as you found out. So it does, on the face of it, seem like, hey, we let you out. We were so nice to you. We took your money and gave you absolution for a certain time, and you went back to doing things we don't like. So potentially we're going to like now make your life a little bit more difficult, you know?
Yes.
So again, I'm not telling anyone else what to do. I'm just telling folks what I do. And this is an exact perfect reason why, because I've had experience with the system in the past. You get on probation, you get on bond, you start signing papers and paying them for their service providing, and boy, are they going to provide service. So ultimately, I don't understand anything. I don't need to. I'm not part of the legal society. I'm not a surety for that legal entity that's on all the charging instruments. And there's no man or woman who's come forth typically on the other side. So we can't move forward, you know? And since I don't sign any contracts, and since I call out that there's no one on the other side, and since typically in all my cases, after a certain point, the prosecutor doesn't show up and doesn't talk, because they know I'm going to get them wrapped up in liability and I'm going to ask questions and object. Typically, it goes the way of dismissal because you got nobody moving the case. And of course, the administrator is technically not supposed to be moving a case and prosecuting a case when they're third party impartial magistrate. That would be a conflict of interest. Doesn't mean it doesn't go on all day, every day across this land. You have administrator, magistrates, judges, as people like to call them, who literally will pick up the case and run the ball themselves with nobody on the other side standing up at court. No prosecutor, no claimant, no complainant even, you know, claiming the state of is the damaged entity and that they are going to be third party impartial magistrate and also prosecute a case against you and move it forward. Absolutely ridiculous and absurd. Goes on all day, every day. So that's kind of where we're at this point. As far as I'm concerned is, I may have to talk with you privately and get more information if it's available. You may have to attempt to have him put a claim or conditional acceptance on record. See if it gets you anywhere. Because ultimately, like I said, at this point, you're in contract, you're in bondage, and you're trying to ride the line, right? Shaitan, just like a man on the street, only respects somebody who, like myself, when they get picked up, sits if that's what's necessary, right? I'm not going to fight them. I'm not going to try to break out. I'm not going to pay. I'm not going to do anything. You're taking me and making charges against me as a man. You got to substantiate them, and I'm not giving you anything. So it's show me my cell and not even give me my phone call because I don't have anyone to call. If you know, you know. So we're here. You know, get used to it until we're not. Yeah, Shaitan is not going to respect you for taking bonds with them and asking them to be let out and be comfortable, you know, in the kingdom of their world, and pay them for the privilege and then turn around and start investigating them again and putting them on record. They're going to take that personal. Hey, you don't, you know, you really don't want to sit in jail. You really don't want to do activism. You don't really want to stand for rights, freedom, principles, spiritual faith. You want to go home and smoke pot and hang out and do whatever you want to do. And then in your spare time, get on Facebook and troll, you know, and do part-time activism, right? From where it's comfortable. But that's not the reality of life and the situation. You step into this, you start doing activism, you want to uphold the law and exercise rights. Don't be surprised when they have you sit down for a period of time, right? Like I always say, I expected doing this to be in jail right now as we speak at one point. I expected to be doing months at least or years in jail for upholding the law, exercising rights, and not cooperating and complying. And the only thing I could come up with the reason why it hasn't happened is because on some level, if spiritually, if nothing else, these beings or the being that inhabits these people, the spirit that inhabits these folks and what they do, respects me and knows what I'm about. And it sees authenticity and a genuine purpose, so it gives me safe passage. If you want to play with these people and you want to play with the spirit of Shaitan and you want to be 2 to 3 different people, it's going to show you who and what you really are and what you're really down for or not. You know? So I don't know if that makes sense to you or anyone else, but it does to me. And I'm correlating that statement with my own experience, right? It doesn't really matter what I or Drew or anybody else wants. The reality is what it is. And what it is if you're going to do this, you got to expect to be taken prisoner at some point and have faith in God and do the next right thing, that you will be delivered or sit through and get through and be better off for it. You know? So there is no bond. There is no deal with the devil. There is no asking for reprieve. If you want reprieve, go to God for that and with that. You know, you can't down Shaitan, and then when Shaitan plays its game on you and lock you up, beg Shaitan to let you go and make agreements of what you're going to do in bondage after and then not perform. This is not a game. You're in bondage with the spirit of Shaitan, you will pay. And if you don't pay willingly, it's going to get it back in blood if it doesn't believe you and doesn't think that you're one of God's people. And if you ain't God's people, then you're a child of the lie and you're one of theirs, and they're going to come for you. They're going to get everything that they come for in this reality. Bet on it. They're going to get everything you agree to, whether you know it or not spiritually in this reality. Bet on it. So, you know, again, it might sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but really this is a middle way here as far as I'm concerned. It's this and that. You know, you have to understand yourself and have a relationship with God to some extent. You have to be willing to walk the path till the end without even seeing where the end is and how you're going to end up. And you got to throw yourself in completely and surrender the rest and let God work for you and through you. You want to half step and ride the line and play both sides of the fence? It's going to teach you a lesson about how this all works. So where do we go from here, Amanda? Like I said, I think that we may have to talk more privately, get some more information, talk with him, put a conditional acceptance or a claim on file, and start praying to God. As silly as that may sound, start invoking the idea of faith and prayer and surrendering to that force that if you didn't cause loss, injury, and harm, then it's only rightful that you be delivered. I've seen miraculous things happen when it comes to manifesting an outcome, when it comes to aligning thoughts, emotions, actions in a meditative or prayerful state. I've seen folks tell me, well, we haven't heard from this person. They've been locked up for months. We don't know what to do. Literally, I told her, you need to start having faith in God and you need to do the next right thing on your paperwork and make it short and sweet. The next day, within the next day or two, she goes, I finally heard he's getting out. I don't see those as coincidences. And I have a fair bit of them to point to. So we're in a simulation here, it would seem to me. There is connectivity and relativity. There is a spiritual faith component. We have to activate that. And we have to get in alignment with our thoughts, emotions, actions, and intention here in order to manifest a different outcome or reality. So, Amanda, is there anything else that you want to tell me or put forth here? Because I think I'm going to let you go and kind of move on to the second half of the broadcast, so to speak, and we can kind of go forward from here.
That's fine. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm going to put you to the back. Amanda, get what information you can. I guess email me, keep me updated. And yeah, I mean, ultimately, we'll do what we can here. Like I said, if folks are willing and able, and they want to, if nothing else, call and question. You know, I'm definitely not telling anybody to harass. I'm definitely not telling anybody to make presumptions or assumptions beyond, I guess, what is self-evident. But if you're willing to and able, give these folks a call, ask them questions, get some information. And see if we can figure out what's going on here. According to that woman, though, he has a court date. Again, does it really matter whether I agree or not with proper process and procedure? Not really. They're probably going to do what they're going to do. But at least we now know there is a court date set, even though it's, 3 months out? 2.5, 3 months or more out. So what else is new, right? Newsflash, you woke up in a simulation universe today on a land, calls itself America, purports to be a free country, but everywhere you go has municipal service providing agents who interfere with property and natural rights and use illegitimate bondage and false contract. But see, how illegitimate is it? This is where I have to transition to the spiritual aspect. Uh, Legally, lawfully, on the ground, technically, it's illegitimate. Spiritually, there may be more than I can conceive of going on here. As a matter of fact, I'm sure there is. So, on some level, spiritually, we're right where we need to be because for the longest time, the majority has neglected their responsibility and accountability, upholding the law and exercising rights. So, like, that's part of the illusion of a timeline. You know, time is illusory, but there is a timeline in a sense where our choices create a reality that we have to live in till our choices create a reality we get to live in. See? So it's always in flux. So, depending on how many more folks today decide that they're going to live free and they're going to be equitable and trustworthy and honorable in good faith, and they're going to uphold the law of the land, and they're going to question their illegitimate authorities, and they're going to assert and exercise their rights, this is going to continue and probably get a bit worse, I would think. So, the choice is yours. I'm attempting to do what I can, where I can, when I can, and I'm encouraging others to do the same. So again, I don't know what the man Andrew has done or not done, but if there's no loss, injury, and harm, there's no man or woman on the other side. Well, then we have an issue with due process and holding someone for months, convicted essentially till proven innocent because he's in jail, right? It does. You'll say, well, he's got trial, he's not convicted yet, he's in jail. If you're held in jail, then it's presumed you're guilty till proven innocent because you're doing the time, right? And of course, as we know, or maybe as some don't know, because there's still folks in chat saying it's crazy what goes on in this guy's head. He's such an idiot and a moron. They'll never get it. They can't even figure out common sense. That on a land that calls itself free, that has rights, where there's supposed to be due process, somebody could be held for months doing time till they're eventually potentially proven innocent and then let go. Well, how are you going to compensate them for their time, energy, attention, and resources and that time they had to do? What are you going to give them a paycheck, if anything? That doesn't make anyone whole. But see, this is where they won't say, but I will have to invoke the spiritual element of what's going on here. If you want men and women to be really tested and challenged and to develop conviction and to come forth and really decide what they're going to be a part of, they may have to go through trial by fire. You know, just like the Christed being of Scripture, right? This is allegorical, archetypal, thematic understanding of a life lived. Oh, you're going to walk with the light. You're going to walk with truth, life, and way. You're going to walk under God. You're going to exercise rights. You're going to do activism. Well, show us. Don't tell us. Right? That's what God and the devil says, all in one voice. Show us. Don't tell us. So that means trial by fire sometime, some way, somehow. You know, we got to see what your soul is really made of. We got to see what you really serve. The only way to do that is put you through your paces, it would seem to me. The whole reason they had to go to Gitmo is because the terrorists touched U.S. soil. They got more rights. There you go. Spoken like a true fascist statist who doesn't understand the whole point of this system here is we'd rather let 10 murderers go who we couldn't prove are guilty than have one innocent person do time for something they didn't do. See, that's the whole point of innocent till proven guilty. God is first. God's judgment is first. The judgment of man at a court of law has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. And if you don't have that, then you're convicting potentially innocent men to do time while playing God when there is no loss, injury, and harm. That is the antithesis of what the system was supposed to be. Literally, the founders said something along the lines of, we'd rather let go 10 murderers who we couldn't prove did the murder than incarcerate one innocent person for a murder they didn't commit or a loss, injury, or harm that they didn't commit, right? So we would rather err on the side of letting people go that we can't prove are guilty than locking everyone up and then tasking folks to prove their innocence. You can't prove a negative. If you didn't do something, there's no way to prove it. For all the profane, reprobate, I was going to say dunces out there, but I think that'll suffice. You get where I'm going here. I don't have to do the triplicate. So for all the profane, reprobate, un-American, supposedly civilized folks out there, we err on the side of go to God with that because we believe he did it. We may even know he did it, but we can't prove he did it. And we're not going to lock up everybody until they prove themselves innocent when you can't prove a negative. Okay? See, this is why folks like that in chat have he's a cross section of the majority, and you've generated a COVID-19 slavery for yourself. And you know what? Let me transition here, Julian and Brian O'Shea, and then I'm going to circle back to you and hear what Julian has to offer. Good to see you here today. This is why you all are manifesting this again. And as much as I don't like it, I love it. And they'll say, what does that mean? He's talking in circles again. Well, I don't like it, but I have to love it because it's the will of God based on what you folks serve in the majority and what you don't. So keep serving that Luciferianism. Keep telling me all about the terrorists got away because you have too many rights on America. You know, when you still can't figure out the ones doing terrorism by definitions are the ones you're voting for, giving tax to by their own definition. Go look it up. We've been over it. Scientists identify a group of viruses just one mutation away from causing the next pandemic, and that's yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. So a recent study published in Nature Communications by researchers from Washington State University, the California Institute of Technology, and the University of North Carolina has raised concerns about a group of bat viruses closely related to the deadly Middle East respiratory syndrome coronavirus. And of course, they're going to use the term coronavirus because the corona is the crown that wraps around Saturn, and Saturn is another name for Shaitan, the god of this world. If you were to mythologize and point to a planet that accurately represents the god of this world, we'll pull up the KFC ad too, where they had the actual god Saturn eating its own children as a ad for KFC chicken, right? And these aren't coincidences. They tell you who and what they are constantly. So the god of this world has just, this is what this article is basically saying. If you wanted to like convert it to spiritual or religious language, the god of this world has decided that we're going to do another coronavirus 2.0 because the majority of you decided that you're going to serve Saturn and Shaitan, right? The Saturnalian brotherhoods of Shaitan, kill, steal, and destroy, deception of keeping you all safe. Because that's how the devil comes to you. Man, this world is so scary and unsafe. What if you just gave some of your will and power over to me and my groups of beings to keep you safe? That'll go well, won't it? Of course it will. For that force that comes to kill, steal, destroy through deception and maybe even coercion and duress a little bit. Well, because, you know, what might happen if you don't take our services, right? Like Mr. Lucchese used to say, you know, what happens if you don't take the protection program for your shop and you don't pay your VIG tax to the Lucchese family? Oh, the weirdest thing happened. The next couple of days, your windows got broken out, and then maybe your knees get broken at some point, right? But there's never a direct link. Like nobody can actually go to court and say, in that situation, Mr. Lucchese is going to break my legs or break my windows. He doesn't know what you're talking about. He didn't do that. He was at home with his wife when that happened. There's no way he could have done it. I'm sure he didn't have somebody else do it either. So once again, the God of this world has decreed ahead of time, like it always does, what it's planning on bringing forth once again for all the folks that serve it, don't want to serve the true God of creation, and don't want to activate their conscience and do the next right thing. So we'll continue on here. Scientists warn that a specific subgroup of these viruses known as HKU5 is showing signs of being just one small mutation away from being able to infect humans. Turns out Billy Gates was right on the money. How could he have known ahead of time? He's just so smart and intuitive, don't you know? This raises some serious concerns about the potential for these viruses to spill over from animals to people, potentially triggering the next global pandemic. And we're going to have to give up some rights and some freedom again, and maybe even some biological property. We're going to have to give up our original status and standing and claim biologically and get some genetics altered here to keep everyone safe. I'm thinking. Your thoughts, Julian? I didn't go to you. Very rude of me, but I'm a very rude person. We know that here. It's nothing new. You got any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, presentments, projections, rejections?
Yeah, no. So I don't know. I was just trying to look up whatever I could about Andrew Hedges. Sorry, I'm on my phone, so it's kind of limited trying to be on here and look around too. All I saw was that set aside bond, and sounds like you guys already heard about that. That's a new term for me, so something to kind of look into. But I don't know. I get the feeling, and again, I don't know this situation. I don't think any of us do. Right? It's not fair to try to come up with presenting something as a fact when you honestly don't know. But I heard you mention, if you're making agreements, something along the lines of not fulfilling those agreements, you shouldn't be surprised that they're going to come and kind of ream you for it. In a sense, I don't know if that's what's happening. I don't know much about this at all. All I saw was that set aside bond, and I think that's why it's so important. We all kind of pay attention to what we are and are not agreeing to. So, but this new virus sounds like a fun time. Let's see who's up for round 2. Here we go.
We need more testing and challenging. We need more judgment. It's important to get everyone consistently over and over again in judgment based on their choices. So JP says, Americans not in jail. See how they do you. See how this force and consciousness does you. It does it to all of you, just from top to bottom. I'm not saying it doesn't even do it to me. There's potentially a daemon in everyone. There's a deceptive characteristic to consciousness and awareness that tricks one out of their position without them even knowing it. That's why it's the deceiver. I might be doing it right now, as I've said in that intro. I'll repeat it again. I might be doing it right now, not even know. So keep me honest along with yourself. But it would seem to me that it's doing it again with this person. Why do illegals get the red carpet, right? So you didn't wake up one day and have the issue of illegals. The TV told you to have it. See? That's your first clue. Just look for whatever the TV told you to believe is going on, because the TV and who runs it's going to bring in its solution for you. So and I'm saying that to be flippant, but it's the reality. The reality is many of you, your lives are already run by AI. They say the AI is going to come in and take over everyone. It's been doing that for hundreds of years. It didn't start with the TV. It didn't start with the radio. It didn't start with musicians and the priest class. This has been from the beginning of time immemorial. You folks are living in an alternate reality. You're doing mass hallucination together, and you're being influenced by your masters and the Pied Pipers. So they want you to wake up one day and say, what's the biggest issue going on this week? And get you to start a rallying cry for illegals. So they can start to drill it in everyone's head once again that legal and illegal means something when it doesn't. And you can't get your head out of your own ass to realize legal and lawful are two different things. Why do you care if men and women come to this land who are lawful beings? They uphold the law, they exercise rights, they're godly people, they do good business, they bring products and services to the land. Why are you against that? And the answer is because the TV and your masters told you to be, and to keep parroting this idea that legal and illegal matters when lawful and unlawful is what we should be focused on as a supposed fucking republic. So keep showing how you're a slave and how you're mind controlled and how you think legal and lawful are the same thing, when ultimately they'll take you and me and everyone else away to a box like Andrew Hedges for not doing what we're told to do and following proper statute, policy, and code, which is not fucking law. Okay? So quite frankly, I would be a part of and before taking in, vetting a whole bunch of lawful folks from another country who go, I'm sick of it. I want God-given rights. I'm going to go to America because I want my rights back, and I'm going to live as a true American regardless of my color and ethnic origin point. I'm going to go and be the best American I could be. I take them all in. I don't care if it's from Botswana, Nigeria, and I trade you all the filthy white scum who are legal, who are inauthentic corporate males, who pay the beast system, who beg for it, who vax into perpetuity and into oblivion. You can take them all. Them being legal doesn't mean a motherfucking thing to me or God. I got news for you, as far as I can tell. So I'm kind of tired of it. I have been for the longest time, and you should be tired of it, more importantly. Looking like a dunce, sounding like a dunce, talking and giving all of your rights away and your natural status and standing in position for a legal system that's throwing you overboard, decades ago, hundreds of years ago, was never meant or intent on keeping you safe, but still tells you that it is, takes your money, misappropriates it, and interferes with your property and rights on the back end. Could you get a fucking clue, please? Sometime this millennia? So it's more likely that they want all this so that they can do what Donnie's doing now, which is monetize a bunch of illegals to come in and pay in order to get citizenship and make them into corporate entities, part of corporate procedure, and have more slaves to regulate. And then they'll use those regulations against the men and women on this land who are lawful Americans, because that's the game. And they'll get you to sign up for it and pay for it. They still can't figure it out, just like they come here, the Republicards, and go, why do the illegal aliens get better treatment than the citizen slaves on America? Because you gave up all your rights, because you're deep in contract, because they know you're a bunch of cowards. They're done with you just like I am. They've sucked you dry. They got your pension. They got your Social Security. They got you in inflation. They got you in debt up to your eyeballs. The corporation you call a country's more in debt than ever. So they're done with you. They've pimped you and hoed you out. They've used you up, and now they don't need you anymore because they're going to bring in a bunch of global government slaves to rule over. Now they're going on to exterminate you because they don't need you anymore. They got it all already. They got your fucking soul. What do they need your money for when they already got your soul? That was the whole point of this whole thing. They're worried about legal and illegal and paying a few more dollars when the whole point of this whole simulation is to keep or to take your soul. Your thoughts, Julian and Brian O'Shea? It wouldn't matter how many times I say it day in and day out. They'll just keep parroting what their masters have spoon-fed them at the public fool system.
No, man, I think you're spot on. It's just fucking, at this point, it's embarrassing. It's the merry-go-round that never ends.
Right, and this person, and here's the irony. We're going to do it again today. I'm going to put up my Trump ruined America sign or Trump saved America, depending on how I'm going to bring the slave fish in. So Whaler King, right off the bat, his first statement proves what he says about me is true for him. You're wrong. You don't even know the difference between Y-O-U-R and Y-O-U-R-E. That's always a clue into who I'm dealing with right off the bat. And then we go to, of course, wouldn't be complete. You look and sound like an idiot. That's you. The guy who doesn't know the difference between your and you are. Okay? So typically when I meet someone and their first statement is they don't know the difference between Y-O-U-R, Y-O-U-R-E, we're dealing with a dunce who thinks that they're intelligent. It's Dunning-Kruger Central. Hi, Dunning and Kruger Associates. How can I direct your call? Okay? So it doesn't work that way, dumb fucker. That's also you. See, we got them in here. We got all the most low-level, low-conscious awareness, no conscience having slaves who project onto me their stupidity and foolishness while claiming to be one of the most intelligent people here or in creation. While they have nobody and nothing, the majority of them, and nothing to point to for what they're doing and being or co-creating of any substance or value. Beyond fascinating. Can't get enough of it. So we're making excuses. Doesn't know the difference between your and your because he's driving, right? They love slaves like you. Every other word that comes out of your mouth is a testimony and an indictment on your soul and the fact that they're going to control you and rule you forever. You don't even get it. Every other word you say. And it's so interesting because when you're born into this world, the people like you who make up the majority of folks in this place are the reason why the majority treats individuals like me the way that they do. Paulie's got to be crazy. He doesn't just pop out of his mama's stink hole and just invariably, inevitably, ad nauseum, ad infinitum, just repeat whatever he's told like it's fact, even if it indicts him in his soul. He actually asks questions. He actually looks into the meanings of words. He actually tries to align with what's true and correct. You know, that's why that goes that way, because the majority of folks here are folks like you. You just repeat anything you're told, whatever you're shown, you repeat it like it's fact, and you police yourselves and everyone else around you to stick to that deception that you claim is a fact. While you're enslaved. You are correct about the battle between good and evil spiritually, of course, but how do you argue for nations with borders around the world? Indians, Chinese require paperwork for entry. Visas. Well, I don't argue it. I just try to use some logic here. Here's a news flash clue for you. It turns out documentation and paperwork doesn't secure anyone from anything. Turns out that all day, every day, folks come and go with false paperwork and illegitimate supposed credentials. Turns out all day, every day, the folks in uniform who are supposed to search for those credentials are paid off and allow corruption to exist. Turns out, with a human race of corrupt, bad faith, dishonorable, money hungry, materialistic, shallow, selfish, soulless scum, it doesn't matter what you write down on paper and how much you push those papers. The behavior you seek to eradicate will always exist and continue, especially if you set up an edifice for it to thrive, like legality, like legal process and procedure. You set up a system to allow corruption to thrive because of the false belief of qualified immunity that if you just put a uniform on and you follow orders, you can do whatever you want to everyone else without liability and recompense. See? So you see, you guys will never get it. You'll never be able to make those connections that the legal systems and the official systems don't actually protect you or keep you safe. They create a system that allows the corruption you seek to end to actually thrive. I know that's crazy. It's going to throw you for a loop. Turns out on Mexico, which was a republic with a constitution, that they took all the guns, they used the military and the official system to do it. Turns out the paperwork and the legal process and the contracts and all the rest of it were only as good as the men and women in uniform. And the men and women in uniform were corrupt, bad faith, dishonorable, money hungry, worldly trash. So they all gave up their rights and took everyone else's rights for profit. Okay. Turns out, as we speak right now, most of the cartels who are running drugs and doing human trafficking and hits for hire are ex-military, many of them. That's why they wear masks, because they don't want their identity to be revealed, that they're actually inside officials. Hello! Time to get our head out of our ass and get a clue on how the real fucking world works. Turns out every land and group of people from the beginning of time that adopts the idea of corporations as public servants or authoritarian governments always go the way of the printing press. They always become corrupt and obsolete and bad faith and dishonorable, and they always drain the coffers to misappropriate funds to enrich and aggrandize a certain few who are in power and in control. So contrary to popular belief and myth, creating and funding and enduring these systems, right, and promoting them only encourages the corruption and the bad faith and the dishonorable bad business. See, if you took away all of those protections, and I'm not saying overthrow the system, if you took it away indirectly by encouraging folks to uphold the law of the land and to exercise rights or protect rights and be an example of that, then the corruption couldn't thrive in any system, legal, lawful, official, officiated, unofficial, because there's a communal dynamic and ethic. There's a co-creative dynamic and ethic that's pushed and embodied. Without that, you don't have anything. With that, you don't need anything else. See? This is where you now, the Republicans, say that I'm a communist. That's where that comes in. Paulie doesn't want fascism and big, untouchable, qualified, immune corporations ruling over the people they're supposed to serve and using statute, policy, and code to dictate what's going to go on with our freedom of movement, property rights, and future. I know I'm weird like that.
Sorry, I just wanted to touch on real quick this Waller fella or something. I saw he commented he's driving, and I think that's like a perfect, example of making agreements that you're not going to adhere to or follow. If you're driving and you're busy typing on a screen, aren't you like breaking agreements you just previously made? And then we'll all complain, oh, these foreigners get treated so much better than these American citizens. Well, it's because all you fuckers are making agreements and blatantly breaking those agreements. You don't think you deserve like some sort of punishment for that? It doesn't sound very safe to me. It's kind of silly.
Well, Julian, we have 2 for 2 here. Not only does he not know the difference between Y-O-U-R and Y-O-U-R-E, he doesn't know the difference between loose and lose. We're 2 for 2. Every one of you guys is literally like the universe is a factory and it just churns you guys out. Every talking point, every reaction, every response, every belief or idea, every notion of process and procedure, every grammatical error, it's always the same. It's not a coincidence at all, right? It's another proof of the one self dynamic of creation. It's the same being over and over again. It's Joe Everybody. Joe Everybody believes the same thing as everybody else, spells the same way, speaks the same way, puts forth the same ideas, has the same responses and reactions to a T, but they'll tell me mind and heart control doesn't exist. They'll tell me spiritual avataring doesn't exist when it's right in front of your face all day, every day. I never agreed not to text and drive. Now you're going to go from statute, policy, and code is law. We need a legal system. We should all follow it to it's voluntary when you choose. And if you don't agree to something, then it can't be enforced. Isn't that fascinating? So we're gonna be cherry pickers now as well. We're gonna be inconsistent, hypocritical cherry pickers.
Yeah, when you get the license, you did in fact agree to those terms. You may have not read them. You may have just pretended like they weren't there, but they were, and now you're just going against it. It's just fucking funny. I mean, little things like that all day, every day you can pick out. I can even pick it out in myself. I'm not claiming to be innocent of these things. I've lived a life where, sometimes I don't do my own due diligence, but it's just wild how it can compound onto itself and fucking start running so rampant. But I got to take off, Paul. I got to get back at it. I appreciate you having a care and trying to at least get to the bottom of a complete stranger. You may not even know them, but I love that attitude of if somebody else's due process, let's say he did murder a family of orphans or something, the worst thing you can imagine. If you're not willing to give those people something like due process, do not be surprised when you yourself don't have that same right, even if you are in fact innocent of whatever you may be accused of. I appreciate it, and make it a good day on Flavia. See you next time.
Thank you, Julian. I got Ryan Horde here. Ryan says, peace and blessings. Thank you, Mr. Horde, for your contribution. You are a blessing to I, as are many others here who contribute and support. So I'm just going over the chat here. I'm going to respond as I see fit. I am part of the cartel, and I am coming for you, albino gorilla. Well, hey, that may be part of doing business or the way things are. Ultimately, I'll ask you and your folks to make it quick if possible. Do me that favor. All right, questions, comments, concerns. I'll throw the link down there. I'm guessing Amanda's still in back because she's just listening. Amanda, if you need something, go ahead and type it in the chat. I'll bring you back in. They're doing it again, the classic Dem comeback. I'm not a Democrat. You folks prove all day, every day on both sides that you can't think outside of the dualistic paradigm that you've been programmed to live into. So if I talk about an issue from one perspective, you'll call me a Democrat. If I talk about it from the other side, then you'll call me a Republican, depending on what paradigm and reality you experience. See? So that's more projection. You folks on the left and right always project someone you don't agree with must be your opposition, and that's how they beat you all collectively, is by creating two parties to get you to oppose each other and project onto everybody else who actually wants rights, freedom, principles, spiritual faith, which is the cornerstone of America. They must be their opposition. So to a Democrat, I look like a Republican. To a Republican, I look like a Democrat. Both of them look like dunces to me because they can't get out of their own way. They can't perceive reality the way that it is and what needs to be done. They can only project onto reality what they think it is that they've been uploaded with. That's how this system carries on the way that it does. So the classic Repub comeback. See, there it is. See how it works? I'm not lying here. I may not always be correct, but I'm not lying. And when I'm correct here, it is apparent. We do this. We've done this long enough. There is no Republicans, only Trump cult members. I totally accept that. But again, let's be real. When Trump is gone, dead and gone, or just gone, right? Dead of old age. I'm not making a veiled threat there. When he's dead of old age and gone, the Republicards will keep voting, just like the leftards will keep voting, because it's all that they've been taught and know how to do to supposedly change the land or the country or the corporate activity. And no matter how much they do it, the worse it gets. See? So the reality of it is it's not a Trump cult. It's not a Biden cult. It's a statist fascist cult where both sides will keep voting for whoever they're told is for their side while opposing a given opposition. Okay? That's the true cult. Statism, fascism, legalism. Doesn't matter who's up to bat at this point. The system remains the same. The activity remains the same, or it gets worse by your consent because you keep buying in, you keep feeding in, you keep paying for it to roll on, and you won't opt out and you won't withdraw your consent and you won't uphold the law of this land truly. So let's get somewhat of a clue. Let's step back from the picture so we can see the border and the frame and understand it completely, not just speak from our feelers and miss the boat, right? Miss the shot. What is your view on Texas and is that S83 or SB3? It's a bit small here on the text. Okay, we love questions and comments here. If you got questions, throw them out. I'll answer them before I get up out of here. Let's look up on the fly here. SB or okay, SB3. Senate Bill 3 in Texas aims to ban all THC products significantly impacting the state's hemp industry. Bill has passed both chambers of the Texas legislature to respect the end the sale of THC-laced edibles, drinks, and vapes, which were previously allowed due to a loophole in the 2019 hemp law. So this guy's asking me what I think about bills and acts. Bills because it's banking, acts because it's like a play. You know, government and the world is a stage essentially, and they're acting. They're state actors for a reason, carrying out the play. So a bill is also not only banking language. It used to be called a play bill. So they would give you the play bill, and you'd sit down in your seats and you'd watch the stage show, and all the state actors would come out and dance and sing and pretend. And that would be your play bill. So you're asking me about bills because you think that's a law. You think that men and women can put on outfits and costumes and pretend to be God of this world and make law for man and tell man what he can and can't do on a land that is supposedly free with a pursuit of happiness clause. Never will or has been legitimate. So you ask me what I think about it, and the answer is I don't. Because another newsflash on Sovsit Network. The Sovsit Network, your spot and place for all things Sovsittery. So in the real world, men and women are going to do what men and women do. It'd be like asking me, what's your thoughts on the new 69 bill, S69? And when I go to read it, it says, all persons shall not commit sexual interactions that result in the 60 of nining. And I go, what does that have to do with me or anyone else? This isn't my world. This isn't my reality. I don't care what these people wrote down and what papers they're pushing. I'm going to do whatever I want or need to do in my life. So what do you think? When I was on New York, I didn't use cannabis because some actor wrote a playbill down somewhere and tried to act out some scenario that they were in charge of me in my life? Absurd. It's ridiculous. So at some point, you and others will stop thinking about and focusing on all these playbills and state actors just live your life as an honorable, good faith man or woman to the best of your ability to do what's true, what's right, surrender in faith. And if they ever come knocking on your door or come to take you away, you show up at court with the same countenance that I just showed here, with the same claim that I just put forth here. Because anything else would be insanity and ridiculousness. Imagine a world where you think it's actually real legitimate to be brought down somewhere and have to tell some other grown man in a costume what you're doing and why, and hope that he legitimizes you and validates you. Can you say mommy and daddy issues loud enough? Absurd. It's ridiculous. It's hallucinatory. Okay. It's disingenuous. It's hypocritical. Did I say ridiculous? I guess we could just boil it down to slavery, mind, and heart control. Nonsense. So I don't sit around thinking about bills and how they're going to revise them. It doesn't mean a damn thing to me. If they want to come have a conversation with me about who and what I am, it's going to go just like that. I'm a man. I have natural rights. I'm going to do whatever I want or need to do. And ultimately, now it's on you. If you're going to take my body away, then so be it. I get a choice to either resist that, because it is unlawful. It doesn't matter if people in costumes come to take your body and property. If you haven't caused loss, injury, and harm, and you haven't actually broke the law. If you didn't do anything unlawful, then nobody has any grounds to take your body and property, and you're more within your rights to defend yourself. So then I have to make a decision. Do I want to do activism again from a passive position? Do I want to allow them to take me to a box and pray to God and fast and get more in alignment with God than ever, because I have nothing else to focus on but myself and God and my daily practice and procedure? Or do I want to lawfully defend myself? I get that choice at that point. Nowhere in that interaction, that experience, and that choice does the activity of a bunch of illegitimized actors and pretenders and projectors become legitimate. I just get to choose to deal with it this way or that way. Higher self, lower self. So thus far, I'm 1,000, batting 1,000. I'm 10 for 10. I'm 100% on. I don't resist. I don't fight, because ultimately on the physical realm, I can't win. If I beat one of them up, 10 more come. If I shoot 10, 100 come. I'm not going to go that way. I'm not going to live that way. And even if I won and got away, I'd have to live with the fact that I took a life that wasn't mine to take. So I pretty much have one option. I'm going to live by my conscience. I'm going to do the next right thing as much as possible. My experience is going to show me where I've gone wrong in order to correct that. And no man or woman outside of me is going to be my guardian, my God, or my lawgiver or lawmaker. It's just not going to happen, because it can't happen legitimately. There's no process or procedure that makes it ever legitimate for another man or woman to put on a costume and become God. Another illusion, delusion, disempowerment, scheme, scam. Don't care how much money it makes. Don't care how many slaves believe in it, that it has power and follow along with it. It doesn't make it real or legitimate. Like, it may really exist. It's going on in the physical world, but it doesn't make it legitimate or real in the sense of being able to be explained sensibly and being able to align with the foundational understandings of law on this land. Never has happened, never will happen. I slept with my cousin and regretted it later. There you go. That's part of Americana. That's part of living and learning. That's part of God's law. Sometimes you fuck your own cousin and God has to come to you. After you come to her, God has to come to you and say, no, my lowly creature of the flesh, this is incorrect behavior. You have to correct that to live a better life for yourself and others. You got to be free to make mistakes. See, this guy's onto it down there. A lot of folks onto it here. We got another rambler in chat. They can't help but to come here and go off and write pages and novels and books in my chat, but can't get up here and have an interaction man to man. And that's why I wind up ignoring you folks after a certain point, because just like to me, just like to your government, you present little to no value in this venue. You have little power, little inspiration, little understanding, little action space and experience to put forth, and you're not really entertaining either. So it just becomes a non-starter, right? There's nowhere to go with it. Um, Seriously, want to be pimp? How would you handle people not playing nice with others? Are you trying to say that we should have no law? Are you saying that if there were no laws, people would do right? No, I'm saying that you keep thinking statute, policy, and code, legalism, and corporatism is law. It's not. There is no way to not have law. Law is an inherent part of our beingness. It is a takeoff of the idea of lore. The lore is when you're born in this realm that as a man or woman, we're supposed to do what's true and what's right. Here, I'm going to do for you what your own daddy hasn't done for you. I'm going to play daddy now online. Junior, we're around the fire. We're out in the middle of the forest. There's no one within 100 miles of here that's going to hear your calls and your screams. So the lore is that you got to carry a gun. The lore is that you got to use your discernment. The lore is that you have to be of good faith and honorability and have situational awareness. The lore is that if you do what's true and what's right and you keep yourself out of trouble and you work hard and you don't keep yourself around the wrong people, that God willing, you'll live a long, prosperous life. And you'll be self-sufficient and self-sustainable and somewhat fulfilled in yourself and in your endeavors. So, see, it's not a deficiency with me. The deficiency lies with you because you somehow believe that if we went out into the middle of this desert that I'm in right now, that somehow, some way, law either exists because there's a man running around in a costume, or law doesn't exist because there's no costume man and official process and procedure. There's always law. It's a part of our beingness, who and what we are at the core of our beingness. It's an aspect of conscience. So law and lore interchangeable. The lore is do what's true and what's right, have a faith system. Even if that's a godless faith system, your faith is at that point in morals and ethics and logic. Do the next right thing, try to be a good person, surrender the rest, and do what you're meant to do as far as work, and defend yourself and your property when necessary. That's the lore. That's the law. Can't override it, can't overthrow it, can't escape it. It's an aspect of being human. But see, beings of who lack conscience and connectivity and continuity can't conceive of what I just put forth. They can't conceive of it. It doesn't make sense to them. In their mind or in their heart or in their awareness, I'm the idiot, I'm the crazy person, because we don't have a official costumed group of people running around projecting their beliefs onto everybody at the end of a barrel of a gun. How would order and safety continue without a bunch of folks projecting their beliefs onto the individual at the end of a barrel of a gun? Oh, gee, I don't know. As if we couldn't do the same thing in uniform as we would do out of uniform, or vice versa, if you were so inclined. Something about the costumes and the paperwork really tricks that monkey brain into believing that there's something official and legitimate here that isn't anywhere else. It's just that simple and that easy. You have a whole race of chimpanzees that essentially, proverbially, if you hold up a pair of keys, shiny keys, and shake them in front of this race, they're just that easily duped out and deceived like a baby. How do you get the baby's time, energy, and attention and get them to listen to you and do? So you just jingle some shiny keys in front of them. That's all it takes. Wow, magic. This must be legitimate. I'm going to listen to everything you say now. Tell me what to do and be. Absurd. Ridiculous. So, sir, what do you do when you go out? Like, let's say, I know you don't because you're probably a city dwelling suburbanite slave in a cookie cutter house with a cookie cutter life and a cookie cutter way of walking and talking and believing because you're just like everyone else. What do you do when you go out in the middle of raw, unadulterated nature where there's no manufacturing, where there's no hallucination of false concepts like authority? What do you do then? Would just conscience goes out the window? Your logic, morals, and ethics goes out the window? You cease to be a human being? Because there's no one in a uniform with a sign or a piece of paper telling you what to do and who to be? Who's the crazy person here? Who's the insane person? Who's the delusional person who's in denial about how reality actually works? See, you're the type of slave that keeps creating a system where we can't get away from these people. I could go I go 40 miles down a forest path that eventually leads to a clearing that leads to a water inlet or outlet, however you perceive it, and then want to go fish or sit on the water, and somehow, some way, a helicopter flies overhead with a loudspeaker, or some clown in a costume comes rolling through, destroying all the foliage to keep everyone safe, to tell me what I'm going to do and be there, right? So that's the world you've created. Where what would we do if every inch of this land wasn't patrolled by costume wearing agents who are just there to keep us safe and create order? Gee, I don't know. And I get it. I get it because you know why? You're used to dealing with people like you. So you think that's necessary. See how it works? You're used to being and living with people who are like you, who lack conscience, responsibility, and accountability. So they don't know how to go out to the water and not dump oil and gas into it and leave their trash everywhere and throw beer bottles around and shoot dope and leave the fucking needles for children to find and all the rest of it. See, because you're conscienceless and you deal with a bunch of conscienceless scum like you can't figure out how we would have anything nice anymore without a bunch of trustees and agents upkeeping it and directing all of us, because we're now in an open air prison. I get it. I got it. I get why it's somewhat spiritually necessary, because I've lived it. Every place I go, not only is there an agent trolling around and patrolling in some kind of costume with some hallucinatory code and reality, but right under his feet is some trash and garbage and poison that some slave left there that I can't get away from either. So whether I can't get away from the agency or the slaves that need to be patrolled, there's a reason why it's happening. So that gives me comfort. Oh, I see why this agent slave is here hallucinating a reality and code, because there's trash everywhere out in the middle of nowhere that was put there by a conscienceless slave. So now we need more regulation. See? Cause and effect, cause and effect. So I get it. Thoughts on any of that? Do you want me to pump you full of life, bro? Not on the broadcast. That would be unsightly and inappropriate. This is somewhat of a family broadcast. If I'm going to have life pumped into me, I'm going to do it in private. Thank you for asking. And by the way, free Diddy. Let's just throw that out there. Why not? It's controversial. That brings in numbers. And that's a platform that we can stand on, right? How would you handle it? Mob rule. No, see, Wilder King, you just keep testifying and convicting yourself. See, it turns out my work is never ending here. If this is my work, it's never ending. I have a never ending supply of grown children who come in here and just project things that actually convict them, and then not force me, but give me an opportunity to explain the difference in their inversion reality. So when you say, what would I do? Handle it with mob rule. It's infinitely ironic because democracy literally means mob rule. Demo means mob. Demos means mob or group. Ocracy is rule. So literally you're promoting mob rule while asking me if individualism and self-government is mob rule. No, mob rule is what you're living into and promoting. The idea of Americana and a republic and a self-governing group of people is the original foundation of law in America, what you would call and what you would conflate with republicanism, the idea of a republic. So it's very interestingly ironic that you would put forth that I'm doing exactly what you're doing and promoting because you don't know the difference. See? So thank you for proving once again that you don't know the difference and you don't even know the words and terms and you don't know how it all works, but you keep presuming and assuming and projecting. Because most times the fool isn't aware that he's the fool, right? I'm aware even in this moment that I'm the fool willingly because I'm attempting to explain to a fool his own foolishness. See, when you argue with a fool, he's doing the same. It's been said. That's me. How do you tell who is honorable and what do you do with the dishonorable? I guess how you tell if someone is honorable or not is if they honor the inherent lore or law of man and woman. They pay their debts. They keep to their agreements. They're trustworthy. They have an ethic, a logic, a morale, right? They do what they say they're going to do. They don't cause loss, injury, and harm. Is this difficult? Is this stuff difficult? How do you tell if someone's dishonorable? I don't know. You've watched 3 years of broadcasts with me where I've pointed it out day to day and been correct long term about what people are going to choose to do, proving I knew what they would do before they did it and what their intention is and their motive and whether it's honorable or not. How do you tell? I don't know. Pick an interaction. Pick somebody on these panels who's interacted with me, and we'll give you an example since you can't seem to figure out, and that's okay. You're asking a question. I'll give an answer. You can't seem to figure out who's honorable and not honorable based on what they've said and done, or not said and not done. My father's been up here. You got Talcott. You got Slow State. Pick somebody and look at what they've said, what they've done, or what they've not said and not done, and then make a determination for yourself if that's a trustworthy, honorable being who is going to do what they say they're going to do to some degree, to some extent. Like lying, cheating, stealing, grifting, manipulating, deceiving. And I'm not saying that every being isn't potentially subject to that lore. I'm not claiming that I've been honorable all places, all times. I would think that it would be somewhat self-evident, right? I mean, I guess there's ethical honorability, and then there's moral honorability. In the sense of ethically, did you say you were going to take out the trash, and then did you not do it? Well, then you're ethically dishonorable. You're not morally dishonorable because you didn't cause any loss, injury, and harm. You didn't skip out on a debt. So you said you were going to do something, you didn't honor that, so you become ethically dishonorable, but it's not a crime. That would be where a complaint would come in, right? Told your wife you'll take out the trash going forward. You made a broad statement. She said, "How about now?" You say no, and then she considers you ethically dishonorable. You said you were going to do something. You made a general statement. When she tried to hold you accountable, you skipped out on your responsibility. Is it criminal dishonorability? No. Is it ethically dishonorable? Potentially. Does she have grounds for a complaint at that point? Yes. Subjectively, does she have an ability to say, I don't want to be in a partnership or an agreement with you because you're ethically dishonorable and you don't hold up to your word? Potentially, yes. What do you do to the dishonorable? As I said the other day, I don't necessarily have an answer for that. I know that's going to throw people for a loop because obviously, if I can tell you what I don't believe what I believe shouldn't be done, well, then surely I could tell you what has to be done. And no, that's not the case because I don't want to become the thing that I'm saying is illegitimate. Right. So the presumption is that if there's no direct loss, injury, or harm occurring at the moment, and someone who has to be stopped causing that loss, injury, or harm, that something has to be done. The presumption, that's an assumption. I don't necessarily agree with that. There's been many times in my life where somebody was dishonorable, did something wrong. I wasn't there when it happened, so I couldn't put a stop to it. And I was forced to surrender in faith that God and the universe would deal with them. Or at some point, they're going to do something dishonorable around someone who's going to see it, and they're going to put a stop to it physically. So the presumption is that everyone has to be policed, that everyone has to be tracked and traced, that everybody's every deed has to be recorded, and that something has to be done to them when they've moved outside the boundaries of supposed right or wrong. And I don't necessarily contend that to be the case. Believe it or not, there is a reality here where folks suffer the wages of the cause and effect choices. What do I mean by that? Well, Talcott's an example. There's many folks who are an example. We can point to me. We'll keep it in the eye. We don't want to upset Mr. Talcott or these other folks unnecessarily. So I'll keep it in the eye to be fair and equitable. Okay. There's times where I have done things that are less than honorable for myself. We'll take something simple like the body. I've poisoned my body politic at times. Smoking when you used to see me 15 blunts a day of tobacco. Who knows where it's from, what's on it, how it's grown. Probably not good for you anyway. I know there's an argument about it, but I'm contending that smoking anything probably not the best thing for one's own body, even THC material, right? So eating, smoking, doing what I'm doing. Did anybody have to come in and punish me? Say, Paulie boy, you were morally or ethically dishonorable. You harmed yourself and potentially harmed those around you. You know, potentially could have taken yourself away from those around you, which could be seen as a loss or doing harm. Did anyone have to come in and tell me that I did that and punish me? Or did I get to experience consequences of my own actions? Let's expand this out to a relationship. There's been relationships in the past. I could even speak on the present relationship, but I'll go to the past to keep up the air of honorability in this relationship. Now I'll refer to past relationships. There's been times with relationships with women where I've not acted in the most honorable fashion, you know, for myself, let alone them, because it all starts with self. Did I need someone to come in and punish me and hold me accountable to that, or was just experiencing the consequence of those actions enough for me to activate a level of guilt or shame, if you want to call it that? To activate a level of, if not guilt or shame, faith in the fact that I could do or be better than what I was presenting. So I know this is craziness. This is absolutely crazy, but I'm of the perspective and of having the experience that not everything, as a matter of fact, most things don't need an individual or group of people to come in and project onto you some kind of punishment for a ethical or even moral wrongdoing that you've done. Now, there may be a certain group of people or certain aspect of us that is unwilling to change, even if we're aware we're doing wrong, or is unaware of the wrong we're doing. Those folks may need a different type of interaction or intervention. But typically, let's just say typically, for most people, it would seem most people are going to make mistakes. Most people are going to do wrong in their life, if nothing else for lack of awareness or a lack of maturation, right? Immaturity. So as we experience, as we choose, as we learn, as we grow, we become aware of more right for us and everyone else. And we become aware of potentially where we've gone wrong and where we could do better. Nowhere in that godly, experiential, relative, relational experience does there need to be a group of individuals who come in with costumes to tell everyone what they've done wrong and then punish them so that they can change their ways. Right? So, you know, I'll give the example of the drugs. At one point, I was hooked on drugs. You folks know that if you've been here long enough. It's been about, I don't keep track, but over 8 years. That's the number I always have in my head. It's longer than that now because I've had that number in my head for like 2 or 3 years. So probably going on 10 years since I've used any pills or powders or anything beyond cannabis. Folks came in at one point, found me with those drugs, potentially saved my life, but they did so by punishing me, so to speak, putting me in a jail with a bunch of other miscreants for about 100 days. Did I come out and go back to the drugs? Yes, I did, proving that punishment doesn't actually work to change people's behavior. Can it work? Sometimes, some places, and by work mean behaviorally modify people out of fear? Yeah, I'm sure it can. But it would seem to me, myself and most of the other addicts I knew, no matter how many times we went to jail, we were either going to do it or not. Right? So interestingly enough, after going to jail for 100 days, I was picked up again with the same drugs and addictive behaviors, and I was given the opportunity to go to a rehab. After the rehab, I've been clean ever since. So that's proof just right there that if we're going to do this idea of statism, fascism, and governance and corporatocracy, because guess what? At the end of all this, people are making money. They're making money off me. They're making money off everyone involved. They're making money off of, right? Because that's the end goal. So if we're going to do that, oddly enough, it seems some of the best results come from not only not punishing people, but working with people to rehabilitate. I have my own firsthand experience of that. Going to jail didn't stop the behavior. Going to rehab wouldn't have stopped the behavior either. It's just by the time I got to rehab, part of it was I decided, you know what? This keeps going bad. I'm now going to rehab. I'm court ordered and mandated. A change needs to happen. If not, I'm going to kill myself and subject the people around me to a bunch of pain that isn't necessary, because guess what? I have opportunities to do other things here. Fast forward, here we are today. Right. So I've talked about going there and meeting a 90-year-old minister who said to me, Paul, you have a spirit, you have a gift. God has put something within you and brought you to me. Go start your ministry when you get out of here and just talk to people about your experiences. And I had no idea what the fuck he was talking about. I thought it was nonsense. I thought he was grooming me, but, because I'm always clever and slick and ahead of the game, right? He couldn't possibly see something in me and see self as self and know my future path just like he knows his own. That couldn't be possible. There's got to be some ulterior motive. So even though I just said everyone's making money in the process, he specifically seemed to be a different type of person. He was living within his means, doing without, living within the facility in one room, and basically working all day, every day, speaking the word into people's spirit to facilitate a change. So fast forward years later, I didn't know what to do. I had just left a job that wasn't as fulfilling to me as it could be. And I decided, you know what? I'm just going to do what he said. I'm just going to go and get the ministry credentials. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm not a Bible person. I'm not a preacher person. I'm not even really doing much with my life to talk about. Fast forward, here we are today. And directly or indirectly, I've inspired a whole group of people to do and be and have different and get results at court. And I'm doing ministry, whether I call it that or not. That's de facto kind of what it is. So, hey, I was dishonorable. I dishonored myself and others. I caused loss, injury, and harm to myself and others. I needed a change. And interestingly enough, punishment wasn't what the doctor ordered. What was actually ordered or orderly universally is repentance and reformation, guidance and leadership. But again, I'm not a bleeding heart. I'm not completely unreasonable. I don't contend that everybody's going to be that way and they're going to get the results or be part of the result. There's probably many folks out there who wake up every day and say, I'm going to do dishonorable activity. I don't care what anybody says or does. I'm going to cause loss, injury, and harm. Everyone be damned. In which case, usually those people get dealt with at some point. So interestingly enough, the answer is not more private prisons. The answer is not more punitive actions. The answer is not more put downing. The answer is actually to give these people what we never got growing up, which is an actual education and to be raised up. So we need a bunch of men and women acting like mothers and fathers to help co-create a resolution and reconciliation for a whole bunch of grown children who've never been raised or grown up adequately and completely. They're not holistic people. So that's our first line of action for self-governance and community is being honest with ourselves and each other, being real about the fact that most of us do wrong in our lives. Most of us need an opportunity to change. And if given an opportunity to change and we exist or experience the will within us to do and be and have better, then a change is going to come and a solution is embodied. So I think that's first and foremost what we need, because guess what? The prison's not working. The uniform's not working. The punitive action's not working. The crime is through the roof. The decadence and deviance is through the roof. Metropolitan areas are gang infested and riddled. Okay? The culture's gone completely bereft of logic, morals, and ethics. If you haven't noticed, even the common being, the common man or woman, like even outside of the thug culture, hip hop, sort of street underworld activity, mainline, mainstream, the culture, the men and women are bereft of logic, morals, and ethics. So you think punishment is going to make them somehow, some way turn from their fear-based reality to faith? Probably not. God's judgment will, using their conscience will, having their conscience facilitated, activating right? Facilitating an activation of an individual or a group's conscience to do and be and have better just might. But we're used to being punished. We're used to being beat down. We're used to being called things and convicted and projected onto. We're used to being put in our room with no dinner and no toys and all the rest of it. That don't change nothing. You know what changes the behavior? People who actually care, who are going to lead by example, who are going to do the fucking work alongside their community to do and be and have better. That's what's going to make a change. They don't want that answer. That's not a popular answer. What, Paulie boy? We're going to have to go do ministry. We're going to have to be real and honest with ourselves and each other. We're going to have to go facilitate and lead and guide and protect and uphold the law of the land and foster and co-create. Oh, no. We want a system where someone else does it. And we want every problem to look like a nail, so the hammer's the only tool, right? And then you want to claim to be righteous and moral yourself, right? You want to support a system that is inherently immoral, in a sense, because it thrives off of using force and fear and punishment in order to behaviorally modify, instead of using true care and compassion, which means with passion, to do the work to create a change. Then you want to ask me, Paulie boy, you're not going to legitimize an inherently immoral system that doesn't even have results? No, I'm not, because it doesn't work. If it worked, I would entertain it. It doesn't. Not only is it inherently immoral on some level, it doesn't work. So I and that reverend and others who do what I do have made more of a change on the ground, one person at a time, speaking and living the word of God and showing that change, than all of the administrative jails on the land, doing their commercial revenue extracting process with legal statute, policy, and code, because punitive measures work, don't you know, at a supposed rehabilitation center. Because guess what? At the core of the majority of criminality is an unhealed person, is the unawakened person, is the damaged person, the unreconciled person who wasn't raised properly at the home. I know this is shocking stuff, that if we go study criminology, the majority of folks who commit crime or do harm to themselves and others are folks who come from a broken home and weren't raised and don't have community. So they, oddly enough, slip through the nets of society, and they wind up finding a home and a family amongst criminals in jails and on the streets. Sorry, the answer wasn't as simple and cut and dry and convenient as you would have liked it. Oh, we'll just hire hundreds of thousands and millions of people to put on uniforms and batter everyone around all day, every day, and project onto them to get them out of fear to do what we're not telling them is true and what's right. Good luck with that. Guess you got a lot of work to do, Mr. Miyagi and others. You got a lot of work cut out for you, because you're going to have to become more and more, just like myself. I'm not a completed picture. You're going to have to become more and more the man that you're meant to be, and give that away more and more to the people who need it, and stop relying on illegitimate, legalized, corporatized systems to get it done, because you don't want to take an activated, active, accountable, responsible role in your community, in your world, in your life, your country, right? Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Isn't that what one of the most famous political science majors who got their head blown off hours or days later once said? Once again, you talk shit knowing nothing. How did I talk shit knowing nothing? What shit did I just talk? I think I'm going to wrap it up soon. Feeling rather complete. What about all of the people that are unhealed because of the actions of criminals? Do you give a toss about them? Where did you conclude that I didn't care about one group because I talked about another group? More presumption, assumption, projection. So let me get this straight. Someone somewhere has been hurt or harmed by the actions of a criminal. And how does putting that person into a torturous situation or confinement heal the person who's been harmed? I'm just asking. I'm not even contending that I'm overriding or changing the system. Even if I could press a button right now and do it, I probably wouldn't. Because even though I could comment on these things and describe them or give my perspective, doesn't necessarily mean that on the highest level I don't believe it's somewhat ordained to be carried out, as paradoxical as that sounds or is. But I'll play along, right? Paul Eboy's God, he gets a choice to remake the whole system in his image. Would he do it? Probably not. It's perfect in its imperfection, but we can speculate. So could you explain to me how that function works exactly? Because in the scripture or in a Christian ethos, it would be called vengeance and retribution, which is supposedly supposed to be left to God. So could you explain to me how someone did wrong, even maliciously with intention, right? Let's say they kill my son or they harm my son. How does putting that person in a box for the rest of their natural existence or life heal me exactly? Could you explain how that works? I'm just asking. I just want to know how the mechanism of doing harm back to someone else heals the original person who's been unhealed by a criminal's action. Because I don't think that's how that works. Turns out, if you studied criminology and the idea of prison, turns out the path to healing for the victim or the victim's family is to forgive and have faith in God. So much so, there are offender programs at the jails where if someone kills someone and they're repentant and believe that they did wrong, they request to have a meeting with the family, and the family chooses to interact with them, to understand them, to offer forgiveness, so that not only the family can heal and move on, but the criminal who did wrong can heal and move on and be repentant. See, you want to do vengeance and retribution. You want to act like you're holy and righteous all the time. And when you catch someone else doing something unrighteous, you're going to be for punishing them and creating a forever judgment on them and not giving them the opportunity to repent and reform and change their ways under God and be redeemed. See? You want to live in an AI run reality where you get to step in and play God and condemn someone to a fate and never offer them an opportunity to be redeemed under God, because we all fall short of the Most High at times. So you're telling me I'm an idiot and I make no sense when the majority of you folks just talk from your feelers, even though reality shows something completely different is going on here. So the system already exists. People go to jail when they do harm. Typically, if the being is somewhat awake and aware and watching themselves, they become aware of the fact that having vengeance and retribution on someone who harmed them or their loved ones doesn't actually help them heal. What does help them heal is forgiveness and faith. See? And that doesn't require an official system to engage in that. So once again, the godly, righteous, repentant, forgiving, good faith system works if you work it, but it needs two parties, right? Someone go tell my father about how a two-party system works, because they like to talk Republican and Democrat. It's very interesting how these corruptions come about, how they reflect. So they want a two-party system, but they don't want to be involved in a two-party system. And by that, I mean being accountable and responsible. Like my father will never come to me and say, Paul, I did wrong. I told lies. I tried to do loss, injury, and harm to you on the internet, which he did a while back if you were here for it. He will never be accountable. He will never ask for forgiveness. He will never be responsible. He's too much of a coward to do it, right? He won't even acknowledge that he's done wrong, caused loss, injury, or harm potentially, or did something he needs to be forgiven of. He will just move on like it never happened, right? So oddly enough, self-governance, community, family, and all interactions that we call community have to be communing with a higher sense of self. That's why the root word is community. So forgiveness has to be extended or asked for in order to be taken. It has to be given to be taken, taken to be given. So we're back to accountability, responsibility, trust, equity, faith, good standing, honorability, repentance, forgiveness, all of these ideas that are talked about and passed around on the land that purports to be embodying the Christian ethos. Juvenile thinking. That's you. Final questions, comments, concerns, folks? He goes, juvenile thinking. When you're engaged in the juvenile thinking, right? Juvenile would be synonymous with thinking like young people do. And that's what you just did while claiming it's what I do. See, I just spoke the words and the truth of an evolved, matured being who recognizes cause and effect. You talk like a child. Tommy, take my ball. I hit Tommy in head. Everything's solved. That's you. That's the Hammurabi's code that you all want to live by. That's how a child operates. See? Child can only see one dimensional, right? Child can't see the rest of the story and the cause and effect and put the pieces together and influence its environment to make it change. So while you say I'm engaged in juvenile thinking, that's you. Because your thought process is, Tommy hit me over the head. I take his eye out and we're all healed and better. Not how that works. Okay? So try to hold up the mirror once in a while and try to figure out who's who and what's what. There's a bit of a complexity and a nuance to what I'm putting forth because that reflects life. Life has a bit of complexity and nuance to it at times that has to be recognized. If you overlook that, you'll overlook the more valid or truer aspects of self and other selves and life in general. Right? And then you'll superimpose onto life and life experience what you think your truest experience is, which is an experience that is adulterated and sorely lacking in depth and holistic perspective. But you'll claim it's what makes sense. You'll claim it's common sense. You'll claim it's what all the adults do. I mean, I'm sure it is. Neglect co-creation, neglect cause and effect, neglect compassion, neglect the true work in order to have a simple, cut and dry, one-size-fits-all corporatist solution that doesn't solve anything. Who's the juvenile again? Tommy, like whingy. Is that whingy? Is that across the pond? I don't know what that word is. You know, just like all the leaders of these supposed corporations they call all these corporations they call nations. They're all juvenile, but the slaves who come up on these lands think that's what being an adult is. You know, you stumble out, you waddle out like Kim Jong-un. You know, you look around like you don't know where you are, but you're a grown adult. You're in charge, right? But you don't know where you are. You waddle around like a pudgy little cherubic baby. And then you say things like Donnie says, you say things like, if someone attacks me, then the only thing to do is attack back. And it's like, you don't have to. That's actually the whole point of like world courts, international courts, courts of law, civilized process and procedure. Turns out that's juvenile. When another nation or group decides they're going to cause loss, injury, and harm to the subset of people who occupy that land, for the leadership of that land to say, you know what, you did something bad and wrong. Now I'm going to double and triple down on it so we destroy everybody, is juvenile thinking and beliefs. But yet you, brought up in that world, will contend that that's the only obvious common sense course of action. Well, they blew up some marketplace with 20 people in it. So the only logical, reasonable thing to do now is to bomb the whole city, women and children and all, to get back at them to show we're not weak. That's the juvenile thinking. When some might say the best course of action would be to not become like the thing that you hate or like the thing that you don't agree with, right? Stare into the void, become the void, right? Fight with monsters, become a monster. Some might say, hey, they just bombed that marketplace, killed 20 people. They just did wrong. I'm not going to double and triple down on that. We're going to haul them into court and we're going to have them separated from society, the community, till they recognize what they did is wrong and repent for it. And if they don't do that, and maybe we don't believe in that, then they're separated, right? If you believe that somehow, some way is going to stop it from happening again or make the people who've been harmed whole, right? I mean, again, this is why I don't get into political science as an occupation. This is why I don't put costumes on. This is why I don't engage in governance outside of self-governance, because I can't really find the line. I'm just being honest. I can't find the line with what's legitimate and what's not. I know what we may want to do, what we believe we may have to do, what feels like the right thing to do, but can we actually legitimize it? Believe it or not, there are stories of people who've been taken, troops, military people, things of that nature, out east, we'll call it, right? Across the pond, out east. Folks have been taken for their behaviors and participation in behaviors, and they've been what folks would officially call kidnapped, right? And essentially held with folks they were fighting and basically given therapy is the only thing that I could come up with calling it, right, for lack of a better term. What I mean by that is weeks and months of interacting with the people they were fighting so that every side can get an understanding of what's actually going on and how we got here. Right? So there are plenty of examples of folks who were at war on other nations who found themselves alone with each other, speaking, leadership, and everyone in between, and doing fellowship. That's probably a better word, right? Not therapy, but fellowship, where we just talk about what's going on. How do we get here? Right? And by the end of it, we find reconciliation and resolution. I've seen accounts of this. They didn't torture them. They didn't do indoctrination techniques. They didn't even do coercion and duress. They simply took them and said, please, as silly as this is going to sound, right? I mean, this is as good as it gets in a world of physicality. Please forgive us for our kidnapping, but we'd like you to stay with us for the next weeks and months so we can have back and forth dialogue to find out how the fuck we got here. What do you want? What do I want? What do you need? What do I need? Where did you do wrong or harm? And how can we resolve this? So it's called conflict resolution, right? A skill that not only we don't seem to ever care about or learn when it comes to military actions, but relationships as well. So we tend to take these same attitudes that we use one place, every place in our life, right? Everywhere. So it's like, hey, you did this to me, you said this to me, but we're never going to do conflict resolution. We're just going to keep doing stuff to each other forever in perpetuity till someone gives up. And then we won. So, newsflash. The human condition is a lack of accountability, responsibility, and one aspect of that is adequate communication and conflict resolution. And using communication and fellowship to help to make a change within the individuals in any situation who potentially are harming themselves or others. What we would call rehabilitation. Is that making sense to anyone out there? Am I just babbling? Am I doing word salad? Help me out. Help me out here. This goes back to the idea of, can you ever really win a war when winning a war means everybody's got to do back to each other what was already done till someone says enough, they're done. Oh, we won. Yeah, and then what did it cost you all along the way? I really do believe on some level that there are potentially, at least for a great amount of conflicts, nonviolent solutions that with enough care, time, energy, and attention and resources could actually produce a change in oneself and in others. I believe that because I've seen it in my own life and other folks' lives. But again, maybe the folks in chat are right. Maybe I am a bit of a dreamer at times. Maybe I am a bit of a bleeding heart. Maybe I am a bit hypocritical and disingenuous. It's been known to happen, right? Hold tight, I'm thinking. All right. Obama Isom. We love anything Obama here. We love. Can't get enough of it. We love Michael's penis. Michelle's penis. I'm just like Barry himself. I can't figure out whether to call my wife Michael or Michelle. It happens. I'm sure it happens to a lot of people out there. We love anything Obama related or anything that, invokes Obama-like circumstances. Just Obama, Obamadom. Anything Obamadom related. Okay, sounds like the pimp is pimping. Proper instruction motivates people. Every so often, I'll do my God of all media sort of rap, if you will. What do we got up here? What do we go to? Did we ever finish this? Yeah, we did the virus. Whatever. You guys are. We're gonna do COVID 2025. More testing and challenging. You need it. Folks need it. ICE protests. More distractions and delusions. We do this one. I'm gonna do this one today, and the next time I broadcast, we're gonna cover it twice. You seen the adorned golden goat idol, golden calf, literally straight out of scripture. Donnie Trump and others are worshiping, covered with $100 bills. Can't make this shit up. And they'll come here and say, Donnie's the best ever. We're not going to be able to do without him. And I go, they're literally doing golden calf, idol worshiping with the love of money, doing humiliation, Babylonian mockery in your face while you're supporting it. I love it. I can't get enough of it. Oh, let me put my signage up here. Donald Trump ruined America. Yeah, that'll get it done. Bring them all in. I'm a glutton for punishment. Going over my chat area. You are so cute. Well, thank you. Thank you, Aaliyah. Feel free to email me and put all your pedigree information in there. I'm still open to. I'm not chasing or seeking, because I've become aware of a lustful aspect of myself, of desiring, chasing, seeking in all ways. So I'm working on practicing a different modality, but I'm still open to, if it's in the cards, right? If it's meant to be, potentially procreating with a woman at some point and bringing about a childlike slave, some might call it, or a childlike creature into this reality. But again, it has to be God willing and meant to be. And you kind of know it when you're there, you know. But go ahead and email me, send me a picture. There's a criteria here, and this is open to anyone. If there are any free beings out there, go ahead and email. The email is at the top. There's contribution links and emails. But email a picture of yourself, what your Slavish hobbies are, right? Like, are you into like statism, fascism, corporatism? Are you into like being deeply in debt? Are you into poison, food, and water? And then put down there beneath that, like all your Slavish habits. Put down there how many vaxes you have currently. This is part of my vetting process. I also need to know, do you have any sexually transmitted diseases? Because we're about safety here. We're about safe sex. Safe sex is the best sex. The safest sex is not even being in the room together, at least for other people. I'm told that. Women have told me, there's been very few of them I've been with, but they tell me, Paulie boy, if you want to have safe sex, how about just not being in the room with us? If we have to look at you naked and let you climb on top of us, there's nothing safe about it. And I go, I know. I get it. Not quite as climaxy, I guess. It's not quite as entertaining and interesting, but you do what you can. A man of the people. Interesting. Yes. Yes, it is. So that's the criteria. Picture, no altered pictures, no filters or any of that. Real picture of you, preferably looking your worst. If I could tolerate you at your worst, I could tolerate you at your best. This is reverse psychology here. Slavish habits. How many vaxes you currently have? Like, how much spike protein am I going to have to hose off of myself if I roll around with you? And any sexually transmitted diseases. Oh, and who you vote for. Who's your favorite slave master party? Slave party masters, whatever, however the party. Yeah, you got it. Go ahead and tell me that. And whatever else. That's the criteria, but you can add on to that. If there's anything else you want me to know. Favorite color, favorite food, favorite slave position, right? Do you like your slavery missionary, backdoor, you know, Keep it interesting. Keep it spicy. Why not? Thanks for sharing today, Paul. No problem. I'm here for you. I'm here for Black people, Asians, women, the children. I'm here for everyone in God, ultimately. It's clear. You look like you belong at the Neanderthal. Is that some kind of African? Is he doing the you look African American? Neanderthal? That sounds like an African American name. Neanderthal Jones exhibit of a museum. I didn't know there was an African American museum exhibit. Oh, he means Neanderthal. Right. Thank you for noticing. This has been brought up before, and I appreciate you noticing what you meant to say. I'm just decoding what you just said. The interpretation is what you just said is that I am a throwback to a more stronger, full-faced, full-figured, powerful, inspiring supernatural creature who's just imbued with strength, majestic grace, power, supernatural being on the land, living under God. So thank you for noticing. I am very inspiring, powerful, simple yet profound in my own way. Shapely. A very pronounced jawline and full figure body. So that's a compliment. Thank you for noticing. You got another channel streaming your live. I'm aware of that. That's Brian O'Shea. He is a correspondent. If you'd like to join us over here, it's at Pimp Unslaved. Proper instruction motivates people. The chat is lit, as the young people say. Brian O'Shea, no offense, his channel's kind of dead over there. Not much going on, so I got to pimp on your audience a little bit, Brian O'Shea. Come on over to Daddy's house. We have refreshments that actually quench your thirst. And when we give you a cup here, right, it doesn't smell like urine. Like Brian O'Shea's house, when you go there and he gives you a drink from the fridge, you smell the inside of the cup. I know everyone else does that out there. I'm not the only one who smells the cup before you pour it. And it always smells like urine at his house. So come on over here. We got actual glasses here, not like, butter tubs, Chinese food containers. I'm not trying to down Mr. O'Shea, but it's kind of an unsavory crowd over there and environment. Very low rent. But we love him. We love him and we love his people. Just better accommodations over this way. You ever go somewhere and they have that? I can't be the only one who's gone to a house and they have like butter containers as water glasses. Just for the Irish people and the blacks in the crowd. The blacks and the Irish people know exactly what I'm talking about. Their own family does it. They won't admit it. They won't cop to it. It happens. I know it. They know it. As long as we both know it. All right, I think I'm done. This ass clown is an uneducated fool. We got that. You've been here for now 2.5 hours. I'm such an uneducated fool that you've now been here 2.5 hours and you're spiraling and circling back to the first thing you said. Thank you for being here. Okay. We appreciate you. The one thing they never say is I don't hold their attention, and that's good enough for me. It's about viewership, right? If attention is the currency nowadays, well, then I got that, and they never speak down on that. They say he's an uneducated fool. He looks black. He's a mongoloid. He looks semi-Down syndrome. He's kind of stuttering a little bit from time to time. He's a fast talker. They say a lot about me. Got a small penis. Probably broke living in that trailer. Probably smells like the inside of a hamster's cage in there. They say a lot of things. One thing they don't say is that Paulie Boy's boring. He's uninteresting. He doesn't hold our attention. So I got you, even if I didn't get you. Because you've been here for 2.5 hours. So thank you for playing. Thank you for being here. I win. You just watched me for 2.5 hours and proved that I was engaging and entertaining and interesting. Final words, slaves. Gave you a like for the effort. Thank you, sir. That is an equitable, honorable being right there, at least in the metaverse. Like, share, subscribe, restream, contribute, support. There are links up there for contributions, non-taxable events known as gifts. The best way you can contribute is by being the best version of yourself you can be and adding on to a world that is sorely lacking at this point. Okay? And then a secondary contribution is come up with a song. Come up with a short video, some clips, promote the channel, market it. You know, there's a lot of ways you can contribute and support. It doesn't always have to look like non-taxable gifting events. You can create content or ways for me to express here when I create content. So my dog is a Sovsit. Guy wrote a song, one of my favorite songs now. That's a contribution. I appreciate that. Goes toward the broadcast and the experience. All right, hit the like button, you scum. Hit the like button, you lowly slaves. Let's go. Make yourself useful here. I love you. Did I mention I love you? You got to tell the people you love them. If you're going to call them slaves and scum, you got to remind them you love them. See, that's why I'm not so good at this like Donnie is and Elon and all the rest. They trash you. They call you a slave. They project onto you. They rule you, but they tell you they love you. That's where the magic happens. All right, back who knows when. We're 2 days in a row now. I'm feeling a bit better if you couldn't tell. Still having some pain, but I'm having faith, doing the next right thing, exercising, working with nutrition, and it seems like I'm healing. So God willing, we'll be back more at a regular pace. God knows what we're going to even do here or present, as if we haven't done it all before. But hey, we're looping. The wheel within the wheel. Seriously, guys, final questions, comments, concerns. 4 minutes left. I'm out of here at the 3-hour mark. I'll give you 4 minutes to come up with something. My dog is a Sovsit. Let's play that one. New favorite song.
My dog is a soft seed, he don't take commands. He's a 4-part rebel wearing mud from the land. Don't work, don't guard, don't heed my call. He'll run in for dinner like he's chasing the balls. I doodle bob, shoo wobble, scatter da boom bada bop bada beda doodle. I gave him freedom cause I hated the chain. Now I'm mopping up mud again. Lazy posturing, a good boy till he's not. He reads the rules, then pisses on the spot. Comes when he's hungry, leaves when he's full. And all the pups copy like he's king of bad school. When I clap my hands, pups scatter and hide. But he just stares with dumb soft-sit pride. Head tilt, blank eyes like what'd I do? Bro, you tore up the yard and tracked mud on my shoe. My dog is a soft-sit, won't bend or break. He takes every privilege like where's my steak? He don't listen when I speak, but he knows what I say. Slips past my back like it's all play. I try to be fair, I try to be wise, and I know I'm the tyrant in his soft-sit eyes. So I doodle bob, shoo wobble, scatter da da boom bada bop bada beda doodle. First time he bred, I said no way he could. He slipped that gate like a ghost through wood. I saw myself, he tried to do it again. Look back at me with that wolfish grin. 5 pups later, they all got his flame. Second gen soft sits changing the game. Now she's pregnant again. Don't know how he scored. Bro figured out the round knob door. My dog is a soft sit. Don't build, don't plan. He don't pay rent and he choose what he can. His freedom he flies like a flag in a storm. The weight of his shadow ain't noble or warm. He don't take commands. He don't follow the rules. And now I'm tempted to remove his jewels. Zadoodle bob, shoo up lay, scatter da da boom bada bop bada beda doodle. I pour in love, I give them all grace, but it's looking like I'm losing this self-made race. The creator's testing me steady and plain, and I keep stepping deep in the same damn pain. I didn't want slaves and I don't want war, but I'm raising 8 beasts that guard the door. When he's not around, they'll listen and stay. They snap right out of their soft sit. My dog is a soft shit, he don't raise a paw. Trying to bend the house to his personal law. He don't need words, just a sideways no second chance. I doodle bow. Shoo-wabba-lay. Sca-da-da-da-boom, ba-da-ba-ba-da, bet-da-doodle-lay. Is freedom meant only for those who discern? Or do beasts burn? Lessons I've yet to learn. I won't let them be sold to be poisoned and tamed. I gave them a home so they'd never know chains. Now I'm stuck guarding in their sovereign domain. But to lead them in peace, must I wear that blame? My dog is a soft shit, I made him that way. Let him be free and I pay every day. He don't see the weight that I must bear while I fight off the world that don't even care. He made his choice, I'm still making mine. He's free by nature and I pay the fine. Zadoodle ba, shoo-wap-lay. Sca-da-da-da-boom, ba-da-ba-ba-da, bet-da-doodle-lay. Sca-da-da-da-boom, ba-da-ba-ba-da, bet-da-doodle-lay.
All right, I'm going to leave it there. Back who knows when. Blessings to all, of course, especially the slaves. They need it more than anyone, so don't hate on them. Try to love them. Try to care for them. And if you are one, try to love yourself. Try to care for yourself. Try to be and do what's true and what's right, and surrender the rest. And see what the universe has in store for you. We'll definitely be back within the 4-day period. If I'm feeling good, or if I'm feeling good, rather. Again, tomorrow, the next day, then we'll be quicker than that. Again, if you got anything that you want to contribute, email it. Songs, videos, clips of broadcasts. There's many different ways folks can contribute and be part of the experience here. I appreciate you guys as always, because if you weren't here, it would just wow. I'm rapidly losing the ability to speak here. I'm like Cinderella. We're coming up on the end of the day. I'm losing all my powers. I'm turning back into a pumpkin, like Donald Trump. That's why I'm semi-orange here. I'm turning back into a pumpkin. I'm losing all my powers. But yeah, appreciate you guys being here. If you weren't here, it would be me just talking at a camera and a microphone. And I'm pretty sure that that's perceived as even more mentally, emotionally ill than whatever goes on here at times. Specifically speaking of Snafu and myself going back and forth. Shout out to Snafu as well. He's been on his best behavior. We're looking forward reconciliation with everyone, participation with the broadcast, a new presentment, a new perspective, new energy, a new flow. We're doing decent on views last couple of days, so keep that energy. What do we got on the way out? Call Unconvinced. I'm out of here. Say goodnight to the bad guy. Bye. Peace to everyone, brothers and sisters. Hey, what just happened? I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I even here? Is this real, man? Is any of this even real?
Hey, who the fuck you think you're talking to, huh? Who the fuck you think I am? Fucking dumb boy?
There's no sound, is there?
Do you want to go to war?
StreamYard's fucking me hardcore right now. All right, I'm going to reset and then we'll do the outro. Common. Look at Lou Bass, the illiterate. Like they used to have names for people. Like they'd have like, you know, such and such the great. there's Lou the obese. There's Lou the illiterate. See, this is why he does this, and then he tries to get me to like attack him in certain ways, like I just kind of did, and then he's gonna start emailing me, calling me fat and an asshole and a piece of garbage. This is his version of toxic twisted love. He just pulled me into. So we have Lou the illiterate here of Cambridge. Lou Bass the illiterate of Cambridge. All right, I'll reset and we'll try to do this. If not, I'll just cut it short. Who even cares, right? Does it even really matter? Does it even Common, what kind of broadcast is this? All right, Paul and Convinced on the way out. Let's try again here. I love you, brothers and sisters.
Hey, who the fuck do you think he's talking to, huh? You wanna fuck? Who the fuck do you think I am? Fucking dumb boy? Brother. Do you wanna go to war? Come on. Do you wanna go to war? We'll take you to war, okay?
This is an arduous task. You need discipline and will. There's nothing fucking guaranteed. You're a man in life. Where else in life do you get fucking guarantees exactly? Can you find something in life being a fucking man that you get a guarantee over and isn't worth doing because it's difficult, testing, challenging, and requires something of a motherfucker to get it done?
God damn it, Paul.
Where are we at here? Seriously, what fucking realm am I in? Bunch of inauthentic corporate beta males who want to just say shit that makes no sense and avoid the inherent hierarchical power and value systems, meaning and purpose and principles written into the cosmos and the fabric of reality, one with self, in conscience. Would you please stop? We're done. I'm done with you. If I can see you and know you, the damn universe and whatever runs it can see you and know you, and it's doling out as we speak. I'm saying you gotta bang it out sometime. I'm saying you gotta go to a box sometime. I'm saying you gotta put some shit on record and surrender in faith and not know where it's gonna end up. That's the whole point of doing what I do. Cause nothing is guaranteed. It's called cosmic gambling, you bitch ass motherfucker, and you wouldn't know nothing about it cause fortune favors the bold, and you're not fortunate. You're an unfortunate slave. I can tell by looking at you. That's why we're in slavery and genocide, because weak fucking bitch-ass males create hard times. Go ask the Hopis who prophesied that. Don't argue with me. They're supposed to hate. If they ain't hating, right, then we ain't doing what's true and what's right. How many motherfuckers you think were hating on the Christed being in Scripture for walking around like he had a hair? For telling everybody and their mother and brother, you better hate your own father and mother if necessary to ride with this God and truth. They forget how that being was walking around telling them, you're a status fucking infidel slime, and so are they, and you better come out of her, my people, or we're all going into judgment. You folks still haven't figured out the only reason I got to this point is because I abolished my ego and aligned with universal law completely. What you perceive as ego is your ego and narcissism you're projecting onto me. I've killed off my false sense of lower self to unite with a higher sense of self to do what needs to be done for all of us. That's the absence of ego, not the abundance of it. Projecting fuck slaves. The egotistical, narcissistic ones are the ones who haven't done what I've done yet and continue to not do it because their fear runs their life. They're not faithful in truth. They're afraid of the damn truth, and they run the opposite direction into the arms of their captors, right? Or into a purgatorial state of delusion. Either way, same outcome, unactualized, unrealized, spiritually dead, back to the recycling pit for you. See if we can get it in the next slide.
Selling freedom for a fee. Pockets lined with promises that never set you free. Touchdown position, head low, comply. But truth don't live where falsehoods lie. A trifold solution for a problem you make. Teaching how to bow while the real ones don't break. What you sell ain't freedom, just a cage you choose. Making you a better pawn in the game you'll lose. Lost scholar, what's the price of your word? Speaking in circles, yo, your truth is blurred. No roots, no honor, no ground to stand. Your paper throne crumbles in the palm of your hand. Delete the laws, yo, put the laws in the land. Or not in codes or controls that you can't understand. Teaching folks how to bow, yeah, making good hoes. But every pimp knows how the same game goes. Chant PLQI, you think vengeance will save, but you dishonor the truth and you dig your own grave. The trifold shield won't cover the fool. Nah, you fools who sell hate just keep feeding the fuel. Lost scholar, what's the price of your word? Speaking in circles, yo, your truth is blurred. No roots, no honor, no ground to stand. Your paper throne crumbles in the palm of your hand. The wise don't kneel, they don't break or bend. Yeah, they walk in the truth where your lies don't stand. No scripts in their pocket, no pose to assume. Yo, your words are a joke, delete flaws and read the room. What's freedom to a man that peddles a scam? Who speaks speaks no truth and hides behind another man. The scholar's just a shadow, yeah, ghost in disguise. Or those who walk steady, yo, see through the lies. The truth don't fold, nah, it don't fit in the trifold. It's carried in the heart, not in stories retold. Yo, you teach the pose, but you're lost in the fight. Claiming you know, but you're just trapped in the night. Yo, you say do this, do that, and you be free, but you're just getting pimped, yeah, you just don't see. Codes can't bind the ones who won't play. The drift loses power when the truth finds its way. Lost scholar, what's the price of your word? Speaking in circles, yo, your truth is absurd. No roots, no honor, no ground to stand on. Your paper throne crumbles in the palm of your hand, yo. So fold your trifold, take your seat. The game you're playing is a game of defeat. The law stands strong where you can't pretend. What's built on lies, we're only breaking the end. No touchdown poses, no gimmicks to sell. Yeah, the ones who know the walk steady and well. Lost scholar, you know your lessons undone. You're just a pile of wet rags drying out in the sun.
You can keep repeating the words and the actions over and over and tell yourself, I'm living. I'm doing it all on my own. I'm doing good.